Welcome everyone. Another Greeny and Craig show back with another guest, guys. We've been nailing the guests over the past probably 3 or 4 weeks, Craig. It's been a busy show, so I love it. But obviously, big one today. We've got Phin directly from the Abstract team joining us today. So Phin, thanks so much for jumping on with us, mate. We're absolutely privileged to have you today.
Dude, I'm stoked. I've been wanting to jump on with you guys for a little bit. And to be honest, I've just been obnoxiously busy the past couple of weeks. And so I haven't been like on my usual tour of spaces and streams and podcasts and stuff. So trying to get back into a little bit, but I've been sending Logan out to be the man on the streams recently. It's been fun letting him kind of, let people get to know him a little bit more.
That's so good. Yeah, no, I saw his post the other day, and I said, "Mate, DMs are open. Come and join us. I'm more than happy."
I know. I got in before him.
Yeah, no, that's wild. But no, we'll have to get Logan on. That would be that'd be so good to have you both back to back.
Yeah,
Craig, how you doing, mate? How you feeling today? I know you just told me before the show that you've had COVID, mate. You've had COVID.
Not 100%, but the lack of taste and smell and all that. So yeah. Seems like what I've had before. So yeah, a little bit niggly for the last week, but no, I'm coming right now. So now's good. The sun's shining. We got Phin on, Abstract's pumping. Bitcoin looks good. I'm might buy some Bitcoin soon if it dips a bit more. So happy days. Abstract's been great. We were talking offline before about video games and having time. I was going to say to Phin, Abstract sucked all my time away, dude.
Same
games on there, man. I've got a checklist of dailies I've got to do.
Have you played Moody Mites yet?
Hey?
Have you jumped into Moody Mites yet?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I was just ripping that earlier. I really like it. Little Fall Guys-esque mini game right up my alley. I got very annoyed because I won my first 2 races, but I hadn't I guess I didn't activate the quest to like place the first, and then after I can't get past second place.
No, they created some personalized races for us too, so that's epic. I love that. Can't wait to have them soon. So very pumped.
I think I have one too. I should figure out how to.
You've got a
yeah, I've got like the little. I think it's like a BMW and has guns on it or something.
It's sick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got so many questions today. I think we wanted to let's start outside Abstract because that'll definitely be the focus for today. So let's start with, I want to start with 2 sort of fields. It's where have you come before Abstract, and then talk to us more about trading, portfolio allocation, all that sort of stuff. I want to separate it a little bit.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, so my entrance into the world of crypto is back in high school. I think technically earlier than that. I was always a big fan of Mythbusters, and Adam Savage has a wonderful YouTube channel called Tested. And Tested was probably my greatest YouTube addiction for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And I watched an episode in 2013, maybe 2014, where they bought Bitcoin from an ATM in Las Vegas. And that was like the first time I really heard about crypto. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I was like, he bought internet currency. I was like, what's internet? Yeah, I think maybe it was 2015. All I remember is the price of Bitcoin is about $600 or $700. I think, like $600 or $700 for one Bitcoin, and they bought one Bitcoin, which is crazy. I wonder where that Bitcoin is. I think that's probably a very interesting rabbit hole to chase down. Is do they still own that Bitcoin as a company, and if so, do they even know? Anyway, so kind of from there, dabbled in it over the next couple of years, and then. It wasn't until about 2021 that the company I worked for at the time got into NFTs, because we were making these toys back here, and we were like, that's kind of cool, but what if we made them as digital things? So NFTs happened, and it's been 4 years of kind of jumping around from a couple of companies. Right before Abstract, I was mostly for about better part of a year and a half, I was working for Sky Mavis. So I was working on Axie Infinity and the Rona network, and was working in gaming for about 2 years, I think it was about 2 years of Web3 gaming stuff. And that kind of all led me into this sort of path towards Abstract. But, long history in crypto, worked with a lot of companies, brought Gucci into Web3 back in 2022, worked with Yuga Labs on their toys. We've got their Bored Ape figures that we did with them. And done a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah, epic. No, I love that. I mean, Craig had a Gucci ape for a while as his PFP on Twitter, so that's right up his alley.
The connection point between Gucci and at that time it was Yuga, but it was through Yuga to 10 KTF.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Phin, because I looked up the Gucci stuff. I was going to ask you, did you play a hand in the Gucci cloth that you can convert to a bag?
I didn't. I wish I did. So
because I did that, dude. I've got 2 bags. That's
yeah. So the way it worked was the company I worked for, we got invested in by LVMH, which is the parent company of Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and a bunch of others. Mm-hmm. And so when we got invested and they wanted to get into crypto, they came to us. We did this whole series where you would mint this NFT. They're like 1 of 500. And you would redeem it for this physical porcelain Gucci figure.
I remember it, dude. I wanted one so bad.
Yes. So that was the project I worked on. Super awesome. One of my favorite experiences. I still have some of the gifts from Gucci in my closet, the random shit they gave me. But yeah, so we were like doing that, and then they wanted to kind of get a step further, and we were in the middle of making the Bored Ape toys, which these bad boys over here. So we were in the middle of making these. And so we connected the teams, and I think that was around the time that Yuga was acquiring 10 KTF and stuff. So ended up being kind of this fun little pairing, and we kind of made the connection points, and then it was kind of cool seeing them kind of bounce around inside of crypto for a while. I don't fully know if they still have their crypto team. I haven't really kept up with the Web3 team that I worked with there, but hopefully they still care.
Yeah, I thought that was big, bringing a vintage brand like Gucci to Web3. I thought that was actually massive. I'm not sure if people fully appreciated what a big step that was for a massive brand with so much to lose.
Yeah. And that was the crazy part about it, to be honest, is like so we started the conversations with Gucci in like 2021. It took, I think, 6 months for us to like get to the point that they were even comfortable going to launch an NFT. My God, when you work with companies like that, like we would have like, I would want to make the smallest change or something, or, our creative designer would want to make the smallest change. And it'd be like, it would take 2 weeks, and it would go back and forth with the lawyers, and it would go back and forth with the creative team, and then it would go back and forth with the lawyers, and back and forth with the creative team. And then it would come to the NFT guys. We had our like Web3 team would come to us. We would say it was good. Then it would go back up to creative, back up to lawyers. Like it would be this like arduous process every single time. Because it is like, they are a very, very big brand, and they care a lot about like how people view them. And
correct. Yeah.
It was very interesting. And, we ended up, I think it was pretty crazy. I remember like the day it dropped, I believe the mint price was 1.5 ETH.
Yeah.
I think it was about $5,000 at the time. And I remember within 15, 20 minutes of the drop, they were selling for 60 something ETH. Fucking crazy. It was just these Chinese whales had like discovered, and they were like, we're gonna own all of them. And then people quickly were like, wait a second, why the fuck are we spending 60 ETH on these? And they dropped to like 20. And then I mean, my God, I think by the end of it you could buy some of them for half an ETH and still redeem your like handmade porcelain figure from Gucci, which like probably the craziest deal you'd ever get on a piece like that. But yeah, I think it's just like underappreciated, and I think it was just that time where like a big company comes in and everyone's just hyped about the big company name, and they just looked at it speculative, and they didn't really realize that like to get Gucci to drop an NFT was like a fucking whole process. It was a whole thing.
Like it makes so much, like they are, like Greg said, one of the biggest, like in Australia, like Gucci is like up there. Like it is like, if you own Gucci, like people look at you, like it's like, it's a premium status. It's expensive. It's reputable, right? So the fact that they, as you said, translated over to Web3 was crazy. Like that just shows you the level of where NFTs got to last cycle. Like,
oh my God, yeah. Like we had, so at that same time we had Mercedes-Benz, Tommy Hilfiger, Roblox, McLaren, Lamborghini, and like a couple of other companies that were just like, we want to do NFTs. We want to do NFTs.
Yeah.
How do we do them with you guys?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. And it was actually like the most shocking thing was like, that was actually when we started telling people no, because it was like midway through 2022. And we're like, don't fucking launch an NFT. Like Mercedes really wanted to, they had this whole vision. They were like, we're going to launch NFTs. We were like, do not fucking launch NFTs, please. This is not the time of the market to do it. Like ETH is hitting fucking $1,600. Like everything's red in the market. Bitcoin's, broken below 30K kind of thing. And all these companies are like, yeah, we'll drop NFTs. And we're like, please don't. I remember we
100%. But that's it, eh? Like everyone really chases that. Hey, like if you're the first, you're the mover. If you're not the first, you're often the chaser. Hey, like that's classic story in crypto.
Yeah, and like again, big Web2 brands, they just were slow and took their time, and we still ended up doing really fun projects with all of them. I think with Mercedes, we like relaunched the C300 and did this wooden figure with them and did a whole clothing line. And Tommy Hilfiger, we ended up just putting them into Roblox. So we did like their fashion show that they did in New York for New York Fashion Week. We replicated it in real time in Roblox at the exact same time. So you could like go into Roblox and watch it, or like see it in person. So, we ended up kind of steering them into other like weird new internet avenues. But yeah, there's a lot of companies like at that point that just, they just wanted to rip NFTs because they thought it was like the new hot thing. And I don't think they really thought about the downstream effect of like what it would mean if they launched NFTs, that they would inevitably like have to rug these things because, the expectations are going to be horrifically unrealistic for, I remember people were like, oh, Gucci should give us so much extra attention. And I would talk to the Gucci team and they were like, if someone minted this, it's like they don't even show up on our like repeat buyer list. Like this isn't even worth like the amount of money they spend is not even on our repeat buyer list.
Yeah,
like why are we going to give them anything special? And we were like, but it's crypto, and like you kind of it's NFTs, you have to be extra special. Yeah, and then
we're collectors now.
Well, right,
like,
and
do you remember Gucci? Do you remember the Tiffany stuff that Nick, like, didn't he get like some ridiculous neck? Like, I don't know what it was.
Punk necklaces.
Yeah.
It's the punk necklaces. Yeah. The Tiffany punk necklace. I think Farouk still has his also.
Yeah. That's like, that was, if that's on a Pico top, then there's not much else that really hits that status. Hey, like that pretty much is. Well, let's, before we dive in, obviously, like to Abstract, talk to us about other things outside of Abstract. What interests you? Sure. Like, what are you maybe holding? Are you a Bitcoin maxi? Like, we got Pio on the show tomorrow, so he's obviously a BTC maxi. Are you a Solana maxi? Like, talk to us a little bit about that. So
it's actually kind of interesting. I think right now I'm primarily stabled. I'm not holding a ton of different things. I always hold a little bit of Bitcoin. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi by any means. I think my hesitation around Bitcoin is it's just an institutional wealth play right now, and for me to make money off Bitcoin, it's basically become a size game. And I'm not really one to put a bunch of size and just let it sit. Even when I'm playing with size, I just don't care to let size sit. That's not how I trade. That's not how I participate in the market. I'm very much more interested in like moving money on a faster basis. So the caveat being like, obviously, for the last now, 10 months, I haven't really been able to participate in the market as much as I would like to. I sold most of my holdings in late December, early January.
Good time.
Yep. I stabled around, I think Sol was like 200. I think it just dipped down around 2 to 220. And I ended up cashing out and buying another car. That was like, that's usually how I do it. I'll like cash out and I'll buy an asset of some kind. So for me back then, I cashed out, bought another car, moved a bunch into stables, and then, had kind of been sitting on my hands a bit for the last couple of months. I think I traded Trump. That was probably the last like major thing that I actually traded. But to be honest, like, work consumes such an exorbitant amount of my time these days that like my desire to trade in the market is incredibly diminished versus my desire to just like make us the winners, like it's very weird. Like I've switched my mentality where it's like, I don't want to go out and find something hot and cool and do it. I want to make that thing. Like I've very much switched my mindset where like, I want people to come to us for that. I don't like every time I go elsewhere. I think I almost put out a tweet about it, but I don't know if people would get like annoyed by me tweeting about another crypto product, but genuinely like the only thing in crypto that I use right now is Courtyard. I'm just like, I rip Pokemon packs in Courtyard in my spare time. That's probably the most that I really do in crypto. Like I literally just like stack slabs of Pokemon cards at this point.
But no, that's fair. And like that's where a lot of people struggle. They don't understand what they want to do or what their time is based doing. Like, should they be developing? Should they be building? Should they be trading? Should they be streaming? Like find your niche, stick to it, and understand that you can't get everything. You can't do everything. That's just crypto. Like there's so many opportunities.
you have to be willing to like I think once you hit the point of being okay missing big trades, because I think that was like always the hard part for me, was like, especially over the years when I've hit my biggest wins, I've also missed like big wins in between. It's always like I'll have like a miss and then a hit kind of thing, or a couple of misses and then a really big hit. And I think like what I realized at a certain point was that like I was confidently like looking at my wins in a certain way that I wasn't looking at the losses. And that was the switch for me where I was like, I cannot, right? Like I can actually not trade. That's like a crazy thing. I could actually just sit here and wait for the time where I feel like I want to allocate. And once I switched to that mentality, like that was, I think a big win for me was like, yeah, I could just sit on my hands. I don't need this money right now. And and the byproduct of wanting the money now is that there's also the opportunity to lose the money now.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not confident what I'm doing, like why take the risk? And I think that's why I've been comfortable, like stabled for the most part. It's just like, I don't need to take the risk in the market. I think right now is like one of the most unpredictable markets possible. And like, if I were to allocate the time and energy to be like charting the market properly to trade things, I think I would suffer in my work, and I would rather focus on the work right now. And, I think like also to your point though, it's like, that's what worked for me. For other people, I think you have to like figure that out. I think I talked with Eli a lot about that, because like me and Eli have been friends for a very long time. And we were talking about this for a while. He was always like, I don't know what my thing is. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And for a long time, we like tried to figure that out, because he was like, I don't really, he's like, I don't really want to be just like a trader. He's like, I want to do something. I want to do some kind of content. And, early into the abstract stuff, I kind of, we were talking about the streaming stuff, and he was like, I don't think that'd be right for me. Like, I don't think that's what I want to do. And I think it's fucking awesome that like turns out that was actually what he wanted to do and what he's really good at. So I think I love that he's like found his thing, because I think, it is very tricky. I think, I watch people all the time. I watch a lot of creators kind of look for their thing. They fumble around. They try a bunch of different stuff. And, I remember doing that too in my early days. And, I think once you like hit your thing, it feels really good. And it has that like, it gives you that like juice where you're like, okay, I'm hungry. Like I want more. This, like I see it, you see it and you're like, I want to go.
And I think like Craig and I have been streaming now 18 plus months, I think. And it takes time to build content, build a brand, build trust, build viewers to be like, oh yeah, no, Green and Craig are going live again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Like we're going to tune in. So it takes a long time. Like we streamed pretty much coming out of 2023. So like out of the bear market. So you only had like 10 to 20 viewers per stream. So it's like, oh, okay. You just got to stay with it. And now we're privileged to have hundreds and sometimes thousands, depending on the topic, depending on the week. So that's what excites me. I mean, I've got so many questions. So, I mean, I want to start with...
You can just rip wherever.
I sent him to Craig too, so I don't want to hog the mic. But
the good thing is I'm a very open book, so it's just like whatever you guys want to chat about.
That's one of the best things that we love about streaming on Abstract is we've interviewed founders, devs, with Eli and us. Like we jump on a stream every week. Like everyone's so open. That's nearly the best part. So I want to start with this. So TVS/TVL sits around 60 to 80 million, correct? I know there's a few different reporting levels.
135 million.
So it is 135. Yeah.
135 is the correct number. If we're taking into account tokens, direct deposit, everything. It's 135 million. Yeah. And so
is that exceeding where you thought it would be at this point in time? / is there plans to directly try and improve that moving into sort of Luca's timeline of Q3, possibly more than likely Q4?
Sure. So it's a two-parter. So first off with the TVL, like the TVL numbers. Going into Abstract, we made a very intentional decision to not give ourselves targets. I think we had sort of maybe personal targets, right? Yeah. My number was always 100 million. I thought 100 million liquid TVL was like a really good number. And God bless Barachain came out the gate with this like couple billion number. And I thought to myself, fuck yeah, like this is going to be good. No one's going to care about our number, because if we're so far off, right, we're never going to be at that number. And, I remember we had some conversations too around the time where like, do we need to like pump our TVL this way? Because we were talking to, funny enough, one of the teams that was managing like $800 million of Barachain's TVL was originally supposed to deploy their product on Abstract. and they ended up getting a bid from Bera, and they went over there and they ended up doing their liquid fund thing, which is like a totally, we were getting them for like a lending protocol basically, and then they went to Bera. So we had kind of these conversations about like, okay, do we want to chase these numbers? And I think Luca was really intentional about like, he really just wanted to focus on fun, and he was really hyper focused on this idea of fun. And I think like collectively we realized that like TVL is not fun. It's not really a fun concept to sit there and talk about how much money is there. And I think, so for that reason, like, I think the only number that we cared about was the number at which point people had the like mental barrier that would drop, right? Because there's kind of this like perception of like, if there's not enough money, it's not safe. In the same way that if there's not enough followers, it's not cool enough, right? There's these weird things where in your brand, you're like 100,000 followers. That's a cool fucking thing. You can buy those followers. You go 100 million in TVL, you can buy that TVL.
Exactly.
TVL deals are obscenely cheap. Like really cheap. If you see hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in a blockchain, like I would say for almost every blockchain, like 50 to 60% of that is just like TVL deals to some degree. Whether that's like stablecoin backing or it's, native yield distribution, it's LP supplies, like whatever it might be, they're all forms of TVL deals. I think in grand total, our TVL deals, our LPs, I think maybe account for like $10 million of our TVL. So not a huge number. And we were very intentional about that. We're like, we wanted everything to be kind of organic. And, it was probably the funniest thing was like, everyone gave us so much shit for it. And, I was always just sitting there like, so like what, we're honest and it's a fucking problem. Like what's the real issue? It's like, this is a real number. This is like the money people want to put in here and spend. And you're bearish, like
exactly,
like holy shit, So yeah, when we talk about TVL, we talk about liquid TVL, which is money that moves. So I care basically about the proportion of I think Bread Guy called it TVL velocity, which I think is a incredibly awesome made up term that I'm going to always use forever because of him. But TVL velocity being like the amount of money that actually moves through your ecosystem in a 24-hour period, or whatever range you set, proportional to your TVL. And I think like abstract, like we've seen upwards of 35 to 40% TVL velocity, which is really fucking cool. It's a really good number to me. That's like healthy and what we really care about. Now to the second part. So sort of in line with the way we do things, there's things I can say and things I can't say.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Like I'm trying to like think about, you're like catching me in like the what part of it can I say?
In that gray area, I like it.
Yeah, I think the decisions that we're making for the ecosystem and for the longevity of our product and the longevity of quarter four, Q3, Q4, whatever thing is happening then. But I think in the intention of like the longevity of that, I think the way we'll go about it, which I'm hoping we'll be able to talk about soon. I really would like to talk about it. It's sort of just like a waiting game right now. Would kind of mean that like that's not really the direction we're gonna have to go. I think we're very strategic, and Michael and Luke are super strategic in the conversations that they're having right now, and the direction that we're moving with things. And I think we're going to surprise a lot of people genuinely. Like I think we're not following the playbook of anything. If you can boil abstract down to really anything at its core, it's that like we've never really followed a playbook. We're doing our own thing.
Agreed.
It may feel unconventional and weird and crazy at times, and it may be like a little confusing at first. But we're always going to follow our playbook because I think without a shadow of a doubt, we just think we're right.
Yeah.
And we're willing to be like obnoxiously bullish on our decisions, even if they feel weird.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can answer the second part.
I like it.
It'll make sense. Like it'll make sense. You'll come back to this conversation. You'll be like, I get it now.
Don't worry. We'll have the exclusive alpha when Finn's ready to drop it. Chat. Don't forget about that. Okay?
God, I can't wait to talk about it.
No, I mean, so we're all excited. Like I'm sure that's the big question that we just are all kind of waiting on, I suppose.
Of course. I mean, it's the natural question, right? It's like there's a reward system. Reward systems lead to things.
Yeah.
The question for us was always like, how do you lead to a reward system output that's like something actually unique and interesting and different, and again, not in the sense of just like, oh, you got this, it's time to get rid of it, but there actually might be like a reason for you to be like, shit, I might actually want this.
Exactly.
For a while. I might actually want to keep this and have this and do something with it. And, you know, if we can incorporate things in the right way and we can structure things in the right way, like I think our system will lead to that. We'll see.
Yeah, I like it. All right, Craig, Mike's over to you, mate.
Yeah.
Probably a 2-part question, Phin. First part is I was looking up or researching you sort of working for Abstract. So I wanted to ask, sort of for the people that want to work in Web3, how did you go? What attracted you to working with Abstract, and how do you think you landed the role? E.g., what did you present as yourself? And second part to that question is probably, what's your favorite Star Wars film?
Oh,
out of all of them, what's the best?
Oh, that's okay. All right. Okay.
You can start with the hard one first and do Star Wars.
The really hard one. It's a very, very hard tie-up, and I feel like people might hate me for this. I have a very fond attachment to the Clone Wars.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
I just think like the characters in the Clone Wars are like the most interesting of any of the movies. I just think it's when they started to get weird with characters, and they just got weird with the movies. And it's definitely a tie-up between that and Phantom Menace, I think, beyond a doubt. But so going to like where me coming to the team came from, you know, what attracted me to Abstract, I think, was I had always wanted to work with Luca. I met Luca in early 2022, maybe mid 2022. Originally, actually, because they wanted us to do their toys. So I flew down to Miami and I met Luca to kind of talk to him in person. This was like very shortly after the acquisition of Pudgy, and you know, went to their event and we talked about this. And so he's a really interesting character. And like I had known about Luca because of a lot of his early social media stuff, working with like Supreme Patty and doing this kind of very early social media dropshipping, you know, internet stuff. And so I was always just kind of interested in him from that level because like I came from a similar like weird internet, you know, money making world, and I kind of was just always sort of fascinated by his path. And you know, and then in 2022 or 2023, he tried to hire me to do work for Pudgy, and I said no. And then it was about a year later that, you know, I had gotten to know Vedant, one of the guys on the Pudgy side, and you know, me and him had kind of connected and kind of had this mutual friendship, and I was starting to be friends with a lot of guys on the Pudgy team, and I was kind of just like, damn, did I fuck up? Did I make a mistake?
Yeah.
And then Luca put out a tweet, you know, that he's looking for someone to come in and do marketing for Abstract, and so I kind of texted Vedant about it, and ended up, you know, texting Luca about it. I was like, hey, you know, what do you think? And him and Vedant came back to me, I think, a little bit after, and they basically were like, look, you're on the short list, because they had made like a list of people that they had kind of been interested in, and I was on the list. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I just got lucky that I was one of the first people to talk to them. To be honest, I've never really asked. I would rather not know. But I kind of, you know, took a call with Luca. He pitched me on the vision for Abstract, and you know, I didn't know if it was going to work, but I was more interested in the potential of it working. I think was like what got me very curious. It was not like I wasn't sure, to be honest. Like I was like, this is a kind of a crazy thing. Like, you want to launch a blockchain? Like, are you really sure you want to do that? Like, that's you know, I'm working at a giant blockchain, and that's a lot of fucking work. Yeah. There's a lot of people involved in this. This is not a simple thing. Do you really want to do this? And I also kind of saw it as like a really big challenge for myself. Because I think like prior to that, I've been sort of just integrated into teams that had product already. And in this case, I was getting thrown into something that like the product wasn't there. The product wasn't ready. You know, it was very much a going to market situation. And I hadn't really worked in that kind of stuff for a while. So, you know, they kind of came back to me. They're like, you're on the short list. You want the job. It's yours. And I was like, I kind of said my fuck it moment where it was like, shit, if I don't do this, like, then I've said no to Luca twice. I don't think there's a third option. I don't think there's a third chance with Luca. I don't think he's like that. But he's also, you know, he is that kind of guy very much where like, you know, he waits for people to be ready for the things that they're coming in. And I know it's something he said with like a lot of former employees. It's always been like, you know, when you figure your thing out, like come back to me so we can work together. Which I think is like such a fucking awesome way to be as a boss. And yeah, so we just kind of did that, and then, you know, it's kind of the rest has been history.
And what's your feeling now with it, Phin? Like making that decision, are you stoked? Are you upset? I mean, it's hard to see upset if Lucas sees this, so maybe you can't say that. But.
No, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's like it's that really funky thing where it's like it is the most stressful and anxiety ridden thing that I've ever been involved in. Like genuinely, it's just like day in, day out. It is some of just the most stressful shit ever. I can't tell you how many fucking panicked phone calls and meetings I sit through every week where something's going wrong. But I think like I'm also kind of one of those people that like thrives in chaos a little bit. And I think most of the folks at Abstract were all kind of like that, where we all thrive in chaos. So I think it's like worked out perfectly where, you know, I get to be part of this like chaotic, crazy, you know, never a dull day kind of situation. And, you know,
from
maybe
an
one day I get tired of it.
It looks like you're handling it right. Internally, it might be a different situation, but
behind the scenes,
I can imagine
it's always it's very crazy behind the scenes. And I definitely like, I don't know. I think there's days where I have worse moments in public than others.
Oh, we all of us, man, behind closed doors, a little tantrum, and then you come back. And go,
there's days where I like send a couple of like replies on Twitter, then I'm like, I gotta walk away from my computer. Like I can't. I can't be like.
Same. I deleted one yesterday. I was going to send one about all the stuff on the timeline with the Daily Runner stuff with memes that started coming back in. A big rant.
Jesus Christ.
And then I was like, Craig, you know what? Don't even,
you gotta take a walk.
Even do it. Like,
it's not worth
concentrate on your shit.
Yeah,
I know. It's like it is the funniest thing, and I think it's like that hard thing where, and I went through this a lot, where it's like remembering there's just like people, you know, like for the longest time, like no one would do video streams with me. Like I was the only person who would do like these like video things on Twitter. The only people who would like post videos of themselves because everyone was like so scared to be a human.
Yeah.
But I think it just like led to a lot of that like weird animosity and weirdness between people, where it's like, I love now that like most people in crypto have gotten to that point where like being doxxed or undoxxed is like not that big of a deal anymore. Like it's kind of just okay. Like it's kind of fun. We actually get to like be people. And I think that also has helped with like that humanization moment where it's like, I can't really get mad at someone if I can look at them in the face. Cause like at that point I can just like talk to them about it. Versus like before, it's just like cartoon character fucking, you know, going out on the timeline. It's like, that's fucking dumb. That's so dumb.
It is so funny. Yeah. It is funny.
You know, it's like apes versus penguins. And it's like, dude, what if it's just like Mike versus Jared? You know, like, why can't it just be two people talking? Why does it have to be this fucking weird situation? But, you know, that's crypto.
That is crypto. It's PvP, unfortunately, as much as we try to not do it. All right, let's talk about streaming, because in my opinion, that's probably the pioneer part of Abstract that really separates it from competitors, separates it from
not anymore, dude. Everyone's launching streaming platforms.
Well, I mean, not because of what you guys have probably led, and I that was a topic. I had a chat with a GTG VIP member yesterday, and he was like, Greeny, make sure you ask Phin about the pump fund incentivized streaming, because I know that you mentioned that you spoke about it a little bit. So let's talk about streaming. Do you think you guys paved the way for this sort of opportunity? I know Pump Fund had their ridiculous streams last year. They had to drop it down, completely restrict it, and bring it back all the way, sort of parameters. What's your thoughts on all of that as a sort of conversation?
Well, I think Pump beat us to market. But what I would say is like we were building our streaming platform before Pump launched there. So it wasn't a matter of like our decision didn't really come from them. We were already designing and building our platform at the time. They just kind of beat us to market. But I think they shot themselves in the foot by going to market the way they did. Like I think it'll be difficult. I think they will have a little bit of the kick kind of style attention, which is fine. I think that works for some people. But I think at scale, you can't be that. Like there's a reason that like Twitch gets the sponsors it does,
Yeah.
and Kick will never get those sponsors and will never work with those companies.
Yeah.
You pick your route, right? Like, do you want to be the edgy side, or like, do you want to work with big corporations? We obviously, as with people who've seen with Red Bull and what will come with some of the next round, is like, we're very much more interested in that level of work, and that requires us to go a certain direction. I think a lot of people within crypto don't understand content, and so they attach to the idea of streaming as a solution to their problems. Whereas I think the more accurate angle is that streaming is just a new way of distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, the model that we're working under and the model that we're pioneering, I don't think we really compete with Pump Fun.
Yeah.
I think my thing with Pump Fun, and I think the thing that will always hold them back, is like the idea of having to be pumping a token to be live. I think that alone will restrict a lot of people from feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
Candidly, we've had some of the biggest streamers in the world, like genuinely, like top 5 streamers in the world have come, to Pudgy and Abstract and been interested in what we were doing, especially post Pengu. And, we haven't felt like we're ready for any of those quite yet. I don't think our platform's like anywhere near ready, so we've mostly turned down a lot of those creators. But the reality is, like, they don't want to launch a token. Yeah. They don't want to pump a token. They want
create content.
Well, they want to create content, but more importantly, they want to create content which has a downstream effect of distribution to their users and rewards to their users. Like, they're interested. Like, the guys who came to us were like, the Pengu drop is really cool. How do I get airdrops for my viewers?
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's their angle. They don't really care about themselves. They make enough money. Yeah. They don't need to pump and dump a token.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, fundamentally, I think the pump model is flawed. Like, I think it self-serves CT really well. I just don't know how it self-serves an external audience. And I think, like, for us, when we talk about our model, it's very much thinking about like the bigger thing, which is like, peer-to-peer payments and distribution. So you're not running a third party for tipping and for donations, which like has always been a massive contention point for a lot of creators, especially who run like charity events and, donation goals and stuff like that, is people can charge back their donations. And it's like a big issue. Right. So to us, it's like, okay, so, well, there's a solution. There's a problem that we're fixing with crypto. And that's one that I can say without a shadow of a doubt is like, that's a problem that crypto fixes. I think there's a lot of times where people come up with these like ideas where it's like, we have created an issue and we've solved it with crypto. And it's like, okay, but you created the issue. Like, no one had that issue. You just solved it. Right. Yeah. That's crypto for the most part. So many fucking products in crypto are that way. It's like, this thing's broken, so we built this. And it's like, well, that wasn't broken.
Not really
that
broken.
Was like, that's not really broken. You just like, you created a broken thing and now you're creating a thing to fix your broken thing. Yeah. And no one outside of crypto wants it. So I think like for us, our model is really built on like what could be much larger. And we're currently in the process. Again, we do a lot of, the work we do is not crypto Twitter side. I would say like, especially recently, like Logan has very much been our, like, at least in my team, Logan and Dyla and Brian have been much more of the crypto side of things. Yeah. I have much more been trying to shift my focus over to working on, a lot of the partnerships with Red Bull and other things like that at the larger scale. And like with most of those companies, like they're they come to us with these really interesting concepts and ideas and things that like actually make sense. And I think would make sense at scale. And I think, if you take the Pump Fun angle or, I don't really know what other Web3 streaming platforms there are, but if you take the Pump Fun angle, and you're optimizing for CT, I think you're just going to find yourself in this kind of cyclical loop of like, you rely on other people to acquire new users to bring into your ecosystem, but I don't think you're the ones acquiring those users. And so, I don't necessarily look at any as competitors because I just don't think we're competing for the same types of people. I think the types of people who watch Pump Fun live streams are not really the same people who are interested in Abstract. I think that's like totally okay. And it's fine. Like, if we're accumulating the like softer side of CT, great. I am totally okay with that. I don't really care for the like cringy, like, ooh, I'm edgy on the internet. It's like, fucking, what are you, fucking Leafy?
I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, it's like, dude, it's all the kids who like fucking watched iDubbbz in high school and never grew out of it. It's like those kind of kids. And it's like, you know, at a certain point, you're going to grow up and it is what it is. And I think like, you know, if you want to be edgy on the internet, congrats. Like you're just pigeonholing yourself. Like I think there's a bigger world out there if you just like step back and like you can think that like you in real life, how you talk to other people is also how you can talk to people on the internet and be on the internet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fuck me. I've got so much to say about that, but you know.
I think there's a lot to be said for maybe a lack of manners in Web3 sometimes, right? And people they speak to each other quite poorly because of the anon thing, which was quite freeing. I think probably for Greenie and me when we started streaming and we just fully doxed and things like that. It was kind of freeing in a way because then you're kind of like, look, I've got nothing to hide. This is who I am. You know, babe, come at me. And if you find skeletons in the closet, fuck it. But I know there's none. So, you know.
That's my thing, dude. I have people who come after me all the time. And they're like trying to find shit or like dirt on me.
Nothing big.
You're not going to find anything. Really. Like, what are you going to find that I like poorly traded meme coins in 2022?
Yeah,
like,
that'll be mine too.
Congrats. I lost money on fucking moonbirds and doodles and Azuki. Like, what are you going to find?
People out there probably like the person who's accusing you of these things, right?
Well, it's also the other thing, dude. Like there's a very good reason why my face has been on the timeline since I joined this industry. Since day one, my face has been on my account, and like this is my government name. My Twitter handle is my legal name. Like I'm not here to do anything shisty or weird. Like our whole team is doxxed. Every single person on our team is like abundantly doxxed.
Yeah.
And very happily doxxed and abundantly doxxed. We have nothing to hide. There's no shame in what we do. We're proud of what we're doing. We're proud of what we're building. And like, we would like people to know that. I think that's actually a lie. There are two people on our team who are undoxed, but that's because it's Saigar, who is Saigar.
True.
And Coffee, who's one of our other devs. I think he's undoxed. But you know, they're nerdy guys who just want to code. They don't care people
about the cloud.
They just don't care about the cloud or people know who they are. They just want to do cool things.
I was in a group chat with Saigar, or was yesterday I got invited to a group chat with Camo, and Saigar just made one comment going, I fucking hate group chats. And then I was like, that's good.
Yeah. No, he doesn't go, like, he doesn't go to conferences. He's like, the dude would rather like
no time for it, eh? He's just like,
he would literally rather sit at home and like go over like engineering docs and open Pokemon cards.
That's what you want on your team, dude.
Like he even doesn't like to hang out with me when I go to visit. Sometimes he won't even hang out with me because he just like doesn't want to be social. It's like I got really annoyed at him the first time that like I flew out to him and he didn't hang out with me. I was like, God damn it, dude! Like,
that's so good. That's so good.
Hey, Phin, one of the things I wanted to ask you, and it's I reckon quite a big question, is how do you go about balancing decentralization versus centralization, especially with abstract in mind as well? Obviously, there's been a bit of chat on the timeline with that. What are your what are your thoughts? Because you've obviously got a platform, you know, that somewhat I think probably needs to be centralized in some ways, but
100%, yeah. So we have two things. This is where I think people get upset. We have a centralized platform and a decentralized blockchain.
Yeah.
I think people like to confuse the two quite a bit. And I think the important thing to understand is that the portal itself will always be at the service of the best interest of our users.
Yeah.
Bar none. I do not care if you get personally offended in some way that like I'm going to protect broader users. It's our job. Like, end of the day, it's our job. The blockchain itself is fully decentralized, and that will always be fully decentralized. You can launch things. You can deploy a product. You can launch a shitcoin. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. Do what you want. It's a blockchain. You can deploy whatever you'd like to. But if you want the benefit of our portal, like that's where we put in sort of those restrictions where it's like, if you want the distribution of us, like there's caveats to that, right? There are rules we're going to have around that level of distribution, or not distribution, but like the amplification. And I think like my desire at the end of the day is like, you know, I'm not here in the best interest of, I'm not in the best interest of like individual people's bags. I'm in the best interest of like an entire ecosystem. I have to think about every app, every creator, every token, and every NFT. I cannot make decisions that are based on one individual item, because if I make a decision based on one item that affects others, that's a problem, right? Like that's our responsibility. And And so like fundamentally, that platform is built on a very decentralized framework, and I want that framework to always remain decentralized, right? I want everything to be transparent and clear. I want our apps to be transparent and clear. I want our tokens to be transparent and clear. I want our ecosystem to be transparent and clear. But I also know there's a certain point that it gets to where there is a level of like, we have to step in and do stuff that people sometimes don't like, stuff that people get upset about me for. But I think it's like, it's always in the best interest of the ecosystem. And, you know, I think there's times where people do disagree with my decisions. And I will also caveat saying like, they're not just my decisions. You can yell at me. I'll take the blame always. Like, I don't care. It's okay. You can yell at me. You can tell me I'm a piece of shit. I get it all the time. It's okay. You know, the decisions we make as a team. We use a weighted voting process. We are deliberate in the actions that we take. We don't do things just like, you know, I don't just like wake up and I'm like, I'm going to ruin someone's day. Like,
I'm going to say no to that project today.
Yeah, like it's not how it works. Yeah, just that one. Fuck them. Like, no,
yeah, I hate that guy.
You know, we are really, really deliberate and thoughtful in what we do, and you know, sometimes we're right and sometimes we're wrong. But you know, I think right now we've been right a lot more times than we've been wrong, and I think like, you know, for people to trust us as a team, I think, you know, we have to be right more than we have to be wrong. But I also think like, you know, it comes off in that way where like even the right thing that we do sometimes is still going to sort of like ruffle feathers and frustrate people. And I think like the token conversation became that really big one. And, you know, the thing that sucked for me was sort of like, I think people were and it's our own fault. I think we were letting people take advantage of the team's willingness to just engage with the ecosystem, and that we wanted to kind of be part of the fun and part of what was happening. And I think a lot of people were happily taking advantage of that. And so I think when we put our foot down, it really ruffled feathers, because people were like, well, now I can't really take advantage of this anymore. You know, the team's not going to pump my tokens. And, you know, for us, it was like, you know, we might as a team have our own sort of thoughts and ideas around the culture that we want and the community that we want. And, you know, I think it's okay for us to have that. I think it's actually healthy and productive that we do have a vision. But for me, especially, I really just didn't want us to be too heavy handed in how those decisions were being made and what was happening. And I've talked with a few, I talked with actually quite a number of people in the ecosystem and community members about it before we sort of did step in and make any kind of comments, where I was like, hey, this is sort of the direction that we're thinking. You know, how do you feel like, and for the most part, like we got pretty good feedback. So that was where I felt comfortable going forward with it. I also knew it was going to be like kind of this thing where people are going to be like, what the fuck? Why don't you want to like do all this? But it's like, you know, at its core, like, you know, for me to be involved in a lot of the decisions that are happening, and for, you know, Saigar and Mason and other people on the team to be involved in decisions that are happening, especially when it comes to listings and verifications and all of these things, like we really can't be involved, right? Like I cannot be on the timeline, you know, talking about Retspa and trying to like be like, I love Retspa. Retsp's my favorite coiner. I love Abstract. I love Poly. Like I can't say that and then go and list a product or verify a token or make a decision, because that's a level of conflict of interest that like just doesn't need to happen, right? Like we don't need those kind of angles to be open. But, you know, I'm also curious, like from your guys' perspective, like how, you know, because there was a pretty distinct like before and after.
I was going to say from my perspective as a user, not just content creator, but as a user, one of the defining moments for me with Abstract, and I've spoken about this on stream, was the fact I was able to go away. There was a time when the bathroom was being done, where I explained off stream, and we went away to Airbnbs. And one of the best things was I didn't have to take my main computer, this beast here, that had my wallets on with Abstract. I could take my laptop and I could sign into everything as if it was the same wallet. So there was no friction.
I literally have it on my phone. Like I have it set up on my phone as like an app. Like
so good, dude. Like that moment for me was pretty important. And that's actually when I clicked, because that's what consumers or retail need. It can't be like, oh, you're going to take your computer with you. My friends, if they're going to game, aren't like it or not. maybe gamers would, but that's just too cumbersome for them.
But we have Switches and Steam Decks and, we have things for that.
And the other thing, just before I let Greenie go, the other thing I liked knowing that when I sign wallet transactions through your portal, you guys have screened it, and I'm safe. Now, to those listening, still always check what you're signing, etc., etc. Yes. I'll just chuck that in there. But I did like the fact I felt a sense of some security. I like the fact you guys screened it. It just made me feel better, and it actually made me semi-hesitant with some of the games that came out, like Cougar. One of the things, and no disrespect to Cougar, one of the things that made me more edgy was downloading a game. Because obviously if it's on my computer where wallets are, downloads aren't. In Web3, you just don't.
Preferable. They are not preferable.
I know.
No. So there is that side, but the fact you guys are screened it, don't get me wrong, I still haven't downloaded. I need to work out stuff with my computer, my wallets to make sure.
100%. No, I have a second computer actually. Like even for me, right? I have a second computer set up right next to me. If there are things I'm doing that involve something where like especially if I'm testing new games, new inbound, it happens in that computer. And I
need
get
like a trash device that you can just put anything on, and no matter what happens, you don't care.
It has no wallets in it. Yeah, exactly.
But I think like that direct point is sort of like why we cared so much to have a layer of like the team being heavily involved and stuff, was like I wanted to make sure that my first experience in crypto, which was like jumping into the wild fucking west and losing like 15 or 20 grand. Like I had I was lucky enough in my work before crypto to have made some good money. And when I got into crypto, I lost a good chunk of that first bit of money because like there was no guardrails. There was no team setting out to make things easy. There was no interest in this because people were very much still pioneering this Wild West theory of like, we're going to figure it out over time. We're going to figure it out over time. And they never did. And so like for us, it was like, well, look, people can come to us and call it corny and against the ethos that we like KYC and force these like, intensive, audits and restrictions on teams that come and listen to the portal. Like, even to the level of session keys, like to get session keys, you have to go through a second round of audits that are like directly with our team, and it takes time, and like our process is intensive, and it's not for every team, and not every team can afford it. Not every team will be able to, but again, it's in the interest of like me being able to tell my friend to sign up for Abstract and to go in and use these games and not worry about the same thing that I worried about, where I could connect my wallet and all my money was gone.
I agree with that. Like, so the 2 points I want to discuss is obviously the ease of use, because that is key. Like, if you're thinking about the consumer chain, you want it to be ease of use for the consumers, not like someone like Craig and I who have been in this industry. Like, I've been in this industry since 2016. So like you navigate it. Sure, I still got scammed recently. That was a completely different thing. But beside that point, like, you know how to use a wallet, you know how to set it up, you know what to look for and those sorts of things. What I like about Abstract is that it appeals to the common user, right? Like, you don't have to worry about a seed phrase. You don't have to worry about this. It can connect it to your email. Cigars come out and said like, all of this new sort of wallet user interface. It makes it so much easier. Like these session keys, like you spoke about. I'm sending a shit ton of money into the gacha on-chain heroes yesterday. Imagine having to click that 10 times in the minute. Like that would just drive me insane. So that the first point, I love that. Like I think that's great. I think it's, whilst a lot of people are like, oh, it's not as safe, I'm like, no, I actually think that's perfect. Right. For the
dude, again, the one thing is, this is what I'll tell you. The one thing, when's the last time, or if you have ever adjusted your gas settings on Abstract?
Well, no. Oh, well, I slippage trade, so it is a little bit different.
Not slippage.
But gas, no, never, no.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
true. Yeah.
Because we designed it to be like, there's things that we let you do with EO, and I have this like massive rant I go on where like there are things that we let people do with EOAs that none of us should ever been allowed to do. We should not have had EOA, like EOA wallets. And for those who don't know EOA, like MetaMask, Phantom, right? Yeah. For anyone who's unaware, your wallet is a UI UX over an actual wallet. So that's why you can import your wallet into multiple interfaces, whatever. Anyway, so EOAs, fucking terrible. That was the worst decision we ever made as an industry. It set us up for the worst behavior possible. Just like the most like tinfoil hat, like maximum, what's the right word for it? Like the difficulty that we created was just like, you jumped into crypto and the first thing that you have to use for everything is difficulty level 5.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck me. Why did we ever do that? Anyway, keep going.
No, I agree. Like the fact that it makes it easy for me and easy for us to use every day. And then for new people, that's the key. With the meme coin stuff, I think it's like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've tweeted about this as well. I think it's inevitable that you're going to have people on the chain. It's like, I know, I literally commented, and Eli did this morning on Chris, who is coming from like more of an ordinal sort of trading and all that sort of stuff. And he's like Chris Coffee. And he was like, oh, look, like, how do I get into some of these memes because they're all still Pengu IP? And I was like, yeah, just be careful, because even the Pengu IP ones or the non-Pengu IP ones, like you can do a simple abs scan check of the wallets, see how large the holdings are, go put that into the portal, look at those wallets and see whether they're pumping and dumping tokens / who they are. And if there's red flags there, avoid that. Like a very simple process. And I've been trying to educate people around that, because as you said, like there is always going to be bad actors. There's going to be good actors wherever you go in crypto. I like going back on the point that you made about not supporting a particular meme. I totally understand that, because it's the same perspective in professionalism environments in Web 2. Like I was a teacher. I can't go and be favoriting like a student or favoriting a parent or favoriting another person of staff. Like that's like unethical and it's unprofessional. So it's the same premise that a lot of people forget when they come to Web3. So no, I'm in full camp of you talking about them. That's fine, but you can't ever like bull post or bear post about them. So
yeah. And I think like people misunderstood a little bit. Like I'm pretty sure I have a group chat with like every major meme coin and abstract in their team, and we're in constant communication. I have actually even hung out with a lot of the devs in person, like in Dubai. I think like most of the major meme coin devs were there. We had conversations with all of them. I hung out with all of them, took them out to lunch, talked to them, right? Like, and, you know, we offer support for all these teams in whatever ways we can, right? Like whether they need help finding devs to build something they're interested in, or, you know, some of them needed to reach out to CoinMarketCap to fix something in listings, or, you know, they were interested in they didn't know how to talk to, you know, Gate or to MEXC or any of these listing teams. Like we helped with that kind of stuff. We're like, hey, here's how you talk to these teams. Here's how you apply. Here's how you go about listing process. Like we're very much supportive in those kinds of things, which are like the fundamentals. You know, it just kind of came to the point where it was like, you know, a single tweet that I made was moving hundreds of thousands of dollars in volume. And, you know, that to me was just not okay. I didn't like, as much as I think people liked that. And I think, you know, very much, I think there was a sort of I like to call it the base moment, which was like Base's early kind of volume and tokens became really bad because it was reliant on Jesse to reply.
Can I add a point to that? I think that's Solana based as well. That's come from the whole trench Elon turn notifications on. And he changes. It's literally the same product. I mean, the same, not product, but the same process from chain to chain now, really.
Correct. And what it does for the most part is it fragments attention really poorly. And it fragments liquidity really poorly. And I think it creates that culture again, which is like, if we're thinking about the culture we want, I think it's okay for us as a team to kind of talk about that culture, which is like, you know, we don't really want that, right? Like we don't really want this like Solana pump and dump. Like, I don't care about number of tokens. I care about quality of tokens. And I care about quality of IP, and I talk about quality of team. And like, I'm more interested, like I am far happier with abstract having these like 5 to 10 dominant memes that do have the potential to go really high and do have the potential to onboard a bunch of people than I do with just having somebody who sits at their desk and stares at Deck Screener and is just like looking at the new pairs and is just like aping into random new stuff. And so I think like that was, I think, a big, you know, trick for us was like, you know, we kind of looked at how a lot of these other L2s had operated and the token culture on them. And I think like respectfully, there just like isn't a dominant token culture on L2s. That's just not a primary focus, is that kind of like in the trenches behavior. And, you know, I talked actually with Eli about this pretty early on into abstract. He was like, you know, he's like, I was just like, I really hope like the day doesn't come that like the Solana style, you know, trenching happens in abstract. And, you know, I think the nature of it is like, it's sort of, you don't get to pick that, right? Like, you don't get to choose if people find an interest in what you're doing. But I think like when people do find an interest in what you're doing, you do have the ability to kind of cultivate and culture the community in a way that puts these people on a productive path. And like, I think that's been kind of the trick right now, is that like, you know, we're starting to hit that point where like people are launching like multiple tokens a day, right? And it's okay, right? Like, it's okay that people are experimenting with tokens and doing these things. My concern was always that like, I think what killed Base's sort of momentum was that, again, Jesse was kind of playing this character where it was like Jesse would pump your token, Jesse would pump your product.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people over time got really tired of Base kind of operating this way, that it was like, if you didn't feed into Jesse's ego, you didn't feed into Jesse's algorithm, that like, it wasn't, your product couldn't do well.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't ever want that to be the case for myself or Luca or Saigar or Mason or anyone on the team. I really just wanted to like get ahead of ourselves and be like, look, this is not the culture we're going to have, where like, I'm going to post a tweet so you guys can pump a token and then dump it. I was like, I want to see that a token is doing really well and it's become part of the culture. And then I'm happy to talk about it once it's established itself, once it's been part of the ecosystem.
Do the work first.
What level, I think chat would love to know this, what level is established for you? Is it a market cap? Is it team conversations with yourself?
These days it's a multitude of things. I don't really look at market cap as much as I look at like cultural dominance and like community dominance. Like, for instance, like Retspa was an interesting one because, you know, for the longest time, like Retspa was like a 200K market cap, but the social awareness that Retspa had within the abstract ecosystem was fucking massive.
100%.
Right. And so that's where it's like, okay. And then at the same time, like Abster and Newt are at 10 to 15 million. And like the two are getting the same amount of attention. And so like, to me, it's like, it's not really about a market cap or, you know, any of these things. It was always had to do with like, what does the community seem to actually care about? And like, what is the community interested in? And, you know, does it fit a productive narrative? And I think we got really lucky that like, we didn't really have any runners or tokens that were like, have ever been problematic. Like, I think we've always been, I'm fucking so happy that our meme coin culture is like, it's fucking great. It's like the most wholesome, like amazing. All the teams work together. They all talk to each other. It's this like super awesome thing. Everyone's willing to work with each other and like do cross community things and build in games and like do all this stuff. So yeah, I don't really have like a set range. And I think like also, you know, if I do ever give specifics, that always opens the field where like teams are then like, oh, okay, so I have to do X, Y, Z, and then I get this. And I'm like, that's not what I want here. Like, you know, like we made the mistake at one point where, you know, with tipping, for instance, we had set like a number for teams, and that number got put out there, and and then we were like, well, look, guys, like, gonna be honest, like, we're not seeing a productive outcome from the tipping of meme coins, so like, we're not going to be adding more for the time being. So like, I know you've seen this number, but like, don't focus on that number, because like we have to, you know, figure out a way that makes it so that like because what happens is like, I think sometimes we're seeing like 75% of tokens when tipped are just being sold, right? So it's just like a guarantee of sell pressure.
Makes sense.
It's not like
I swap it into Pudgy or something, and like almost immediately every time.
Yeah, right. So it's like, and I think that was like a little bit of level where, you know, internally we realized like, okay, you know, let's not set these standards anymore. And you know, even more recently, like you know, with token verifications, like I'm happy to say it, like the way it works now is that you know, we verify tokens as a need to basis. That's it. If there's a need to verify a token, we'll verify it. But primarily we're going to be focusing on verifying ecosystem tokens, things like Hero, right, that are attached to a product that need you know, verification and validation, right? That's the angle we're looking at, is like, does token need to be verified? There are no thresholds, there's no, you know, set range. And you know, I think like the most important thing is like that we build this ecosystem that's kind of not really built around like these like vanity metrics or vanity pushes, but it's like the byproduct is like, if you're doing really well, you're going to need it, kind of thing, right? Like if you're doing really well, people are going to be wanting to be siphoning liquidity. They're going to be attacking with copycat tokens, etc., whatever there might be. And then, you know, that's where there becomes like a need.
I mean, there's one pumping today that is questionable from a different chain with the same sort of name, but we won't discuss it on stream. So
which one did I miss today?
let me buy it first, Greenie, and then we'll talk about it.
We're not talking about it, Craig. It's clearly manipulated in a range of different ways. Anyways, no, I wanted to let's run it back to streaming because chat's asking me about streaming a bit as well.
Sure.
So, and particularly because like that's the part that Craig and I like massively love.
Yeah. Me
like
too.
A lot of chat, and that you mentioned earlier, like you were in conversation with streamers. I was on the Badoggo show maybe 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and had a really good chat with Ray and Signal about it. And Sig was like, look, what needs to happen as an ecosystem, as a streaming platform before we can get some of those bigger creators over? I said, look, a little bit more still needs to go into it. I think we're only a couple streamers away, maybe a couple more viral moments away from more viewers coming on the platform. So the question really is around what do you think needs to shift or change to get more viewers on the platform? Like right now, we probably have maybe 100, 200 people on the platform, if I do some quick math.
Sure.
What needs to change in that way? And then also, are we bringing subs? Are we bringing ads? Are we bringing moderation? Like all those sorts of things that you can obviously do on Twitch or YouTube and all those other platforms.
Yep. So I'm not getting ahead of myself too much. We're in conversations about I don't know what the right way to put it, an integration on the streaming side with a very large streaming platform that would integrate a lot of those things.
Epic.
So we started to build a lot of those features out. We met this team, this Asia-based streaming platform that is really big. Began talking to them about an integration and basically coming in and helping backfill some of that stuff. So we're sort of figuring out, do we build it ourselves? Do we bring them in? What does that look like? But yeah, I mean, like I really think people somehow expected we were going to launch with Twitch, which, like, my God, Twitch is 15 years in the making. These things take a lot of time. I would love if we were a 1,000-person company that was building a streaming platform, but we are a 25-person company. So yeah, I mean, like, my goal right now on two levels. On the product side, it's like subscriptions are really important to me. I think also in general, some of the streamer tools are just like lacking. We don't really have analytics. We don't really have, as you point out, like the chat moderations, like it's there, but it could be a lot better.
Store clipping, like just, heaps of things. Yeah.
Clipping, VODs, like all of these things that we'd love to add. Right. And I feel like people, I can mention this here and there, but like, on a good month, it's $100,000 just to have streaming live. It's very expensive, right? Like these things are not cheap. And part of that is because we have to do the work to scale the platform, to optimize, to get better rates and to get better things. And so I think, like, people kind of look at it as like, as things in crypto, they're like, oh, why are you not a Twitch competitor yet? It's like, well, because we've been out for 4 months.
Dude,
like,
people ask the dumbest
like we're going to maybe we'll be a Twitch competitor in 5 or 6 years.
Exactly.
Right. Like that's how long these things take. And, would I love to be competing with Twitch today? Sure. But I've never seen a product come out and 4 months later, it's competing with the biggest things in the world. That's just not how this works. No. It took TikTok like 3 rebrands and an acquisition to even start to compete with YouTube Shorts and to even start to compete with Instagram Reels. And it wasn't until 2-3 years later that it even began to start having a dominance. And it took 5 or 6 years before creator rates were even competitive with other platforms.
Wow, exactly.
And so that's like another thing too that I feel like people just don't realize is like, you can pump these vanity metrics early, but it doesn't really bring the value. These value things take years. Companies who want to come in and build with things, they're looking for longevity. They're looking for downstream distribution impact, and they're not looking for short term that most of crypto is looking for. And so, I think that's like the hard part for a lot of people is that they operate on a crypto timeline. And in reality, like, we're building something that is not on a crypto timeline.
Yeah.
It's going to take time. It's going to take a bit for us to do. But I think, like, for us, it's more about building that like cohesive product that makes the most sense. And then on the like streamer level, like, I think there's 2 ways I look at it where, like, I could go out tomorrow and drain our treasury and bring in the biggest creators in the world.
Yeah.
Right. Easy. I can go pay Kai Cenat to be a streamer on Abstract. I can do that. That's a thing you can do. It's not that hard. Just costs money.
Yeah.
But logistically, it's like, okay, so I bring him in and we don't have any of those features. Like, what does that do?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, like, I think there's something more interesting to me about not buying Kai Cenat, but finding the next Kai Cenat. That's really interesting to me. And I think there's a good amount of people who look at what we do and think that we are trying to just go out and buy Kai Cenat. I think this is actually one of the reasons why Pump Fund will struggle, because they're paying all these creators.
Yeah.
When that money turns off and there isn't monetization on the platform in some way, and they just have to resort to pumping and dumping tokens,
yeah,
they're gonna come into an issue, right? Creators need revenue. Creators are looking for, sponsors, right? Are sponsors going to want to be on Pump Fun?
Yeah.
Maybe in crypto, but outside of crypto, is Gatorade going to want to be on Pump Fun? Probably not, right? And, so I think these are the kind of things that you really have to look at as like a company, is not just building for what's hot right now. When we built the streaming platform, it's when Pump Fun was like getting obliterated on the timeline. No one wanted this. Everyone was shitting on it, right? We weren't building for what was hot. We weren't building for what people cared about. We built for what we thought was right. And I think, the thing about us is like, we always will build for what we think is right. It may take 4 to 6 months for people to realize that what we're doing is right. But the downstream effect is always that, like, selfishly, like, we've been right every time. We've been, we've done the right thing. And so, I think for people, like, if you don't get it right now, if you don't understand what we're doing, it's okay.
Yeah.
I get it. You want to see all these things. Like, it seems like a no-brainer. Like, just roll out subscriptions. It's like, yes, but if we integrate this other platform and we build subscriptions and they become a redundant feature, then like we've just wasted a bunch of money and engineering resources.
Yeah. Good things take time. Like, I mean, that the whole reason, and I like that mindset. It's nice to hear that from the team. And I think that's why Craig and I and Eli is a great example. Like, that's why us three love streaming on Abstract, even though we're only getting, like, say, 30 viewers currently. Eli's got 60 right now. It's like, it doesn't matter, because you are, as you just said, you are like pioneering the top of this potential opportunity that you want to be. Like, this is, in my opinion, this could be the next Twitch. Like, if we put it out there 5 years time, and then that allows, okay, people go, well, wait, who's already on there? Who's been on there for the longest time? Consistent with their process, consistent with their timing, with the value that they're providing. Are they entertaining? All these sorts of things. And if it's Greeny and Craig, and then it's Eli, and then it's Elisa, or whoever else it is out there, obviously there's so many good streamers. I'm not trying to discount that. It's just like, those are the people who are going to succeed as this continues to build over time.
Yeah. And like, I just, it's also the thing where, like, I feel like people get discouraged a little bit because things aren't like exploding right now. And like, my response to that is always the same, which is like, these things take time. These things take a lot of time. And the inevitable is like, I will not sacrifice rapid growth for quality of product. I just don't think that's the right way to do things. Like, again, if we wanted 100,000 viewers a day and we wanted all these streamers, we could just do that. But the quality of their experience here is going to suck because it's not good yet. Right. And I will totally admit, our streaming is not where I want it to be. It is not the platform or product that I want it to be. I think it's like, I think our direction, our focus, and our goal is really good. And I think we will get there.
Yeah.
But we're not in the place that we need to be for that. And so it doesn't make sense to jump the gun. It doesn't make sense to roll out, these giant things. And, we realized at a certain point that, like, this was just going to take a lot longer than we anticipated. And that's okay. Like, that's probably a good thing. But, in that same vein, it's also like, I had people talk about, like, oh, why isn't Abstract at this point yet? Why isn't Abstract at this point yet? I'm like, okay, it's been 4 months and we've shipped more than like most teams. Like, we've shipped a lot of stuff. Like, what other blockchain has a fully integrated, top-down DEX app store streaming platform where everything actually works? And this like completely new wallet functionality that like nobody else uses, that was built from the ground up and built from scratch. Like, we're shipping so much, and I think people get, rightfully kind of focused in on these, like, the little things where it's like, why isn't this part popping? And I'm like, because there's 8 other things that we did that you may not be interested in, but other people are, and they're important too. And
No, I love that. Craig, do you want to? I've been hogging the mic. Craig, off you go, mate. I've still got a list of questions here, so it will be here. I mean, as long as you both. I mean, if Craig, you have to bounce, or Finn, if you.
I'm gonna go. I'll go with an easy one. I wanted to know.
I've got time, by the way.
Yeah, I've got time as well. We can sit here, chat. This could be our longest stream. 2.5 hours is our longest stream. This could be 3 hours plus. Get
I wanted to ask Phin. Phin, have you had time to give On-Chain Hero Season 2 a go yet?
Oh, Craig, that's such a good question.
Of course. My God, I've literally on but you can't see it, but on my other monitor, I literally
have you felt the pain of a failed train or a failed remix? Yeah, well,
twice. The last two, both of them failed. One level down. That was
should have made me mad last night when I did it.
Wait.
Oh my God, I went 1 to 3 and then 3 to 2.
Are you chaos or unknowing? Which one are you doing?
I'm doing the unknown.
Whoa, dude, I have been so lucky. Holy.
I've got 2 back-to-back fails. I really fucked up this morning. Again, in the way of like I'm so busy that I'm just like in between meetings trying to like do stuff quickly. I didn't realize that I had an hour left until I could train, and I accidentally sent them out on into the dungeon. And I was like, fuck. I was like 6 hours I gotta wait. I was like this threw off my entire min-max
my whole day's ruined now.
I know. I like set timers on my phone and like alarms for when the training's up, so I try to remember it. And I like totally fucked it up. But yes, I just did one, and I literally went back. Like one of my heroes, I've tried 2 times to level it up, and it's failed both times, so he's still level 1. The other one went up to level 3 and then failed the second and went down to level 2. So
I think Greeny, you've got a level 7 now.
Mine is stacked. I just sold some this morning because I've been shout out to Big Fudgy, who's in my
7
in my chat. Big Fudge. I'm gonna mispronounce Fudgy. We've been chatting a bit of strategy around it, so I think having less heroes is nearly the alpha. And going hard on the weapons.
Yes, I found that out last season where I had 5 or 6 heroes.
Yeah,
and I realized that I actually just needed 2 or 3 that were like really optimized. So I had 2 level 24s, and the rest I just used to farm coins.
Yeah, to
then go into my big ones, and then by then I stopped doing the chaos, and I was just doing the regular to guarantee that 1 per upgrade. So. Yeah, I mean, like the funny thing is, like at the end of the day, I'm a huge fucking gaming nerd. So like,
I love that.
I mean, of course, I'm fucking min-maxing my heroes. I'm actually literally checking here real quick. So I'm curious to see
on the leaderboard, because I'm 70, I think, at the moment, around that.
Oh, I'm nowhere near that. I have not had enough time to
72. Yeah, I did have 12 heroes. After chatting this morning, I've dropped it down to 9. I think I'm going to go lower again too, because as you say, like I think legendary is, I know it's very unattainable, but it is. If you can get to legendary, your hero is earned back from the battling. So that's the mathematics behind it. So. I mean, you probably got to spend, like I have spent quite a lot of hero. Like I'll disclose like 40,000 hero, I think, maybe a little bit more.
40,000? Okay.
Yeah. So like I have spent quite a lot to get, and I have majority of my weapons are now at rare. I have I have 1 heroic, 1 epic, or no, 2 epics, 1 heroic. So my goal is to, oh my God, Pixel, stop with the dono, stop that.
I've got 1 epic on one of mine, and then my other has a rare. So I have epic and rare.
Yeah.
But I rolled those out of the gacha, so I just got lucky.
So good.
That's good. Epic's good on the roll.
Yeah, I got an epic. What was it? Let me see what I got. I got the epic. Oh, I can't see it because it's on my hero.
Yeah.
That's a problem. It's like what is it? Where is it? It's like the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Little chainsaw thing. So I got that on my one guy, and then I think the other guy has a sickle.
Yeah, very nice. Oh man, I could sit here and talk for half an hour about on-chain hero.
When I had a dinner with Scarly in Dubai and spent a lot of time with him, and it was just I had so much fun. We actually did a dinner. It was the most god tier dinner. It was Monsters Fun. So it was Moody from Monsters Fun, Scarly, and Dith. Oh my God, that was like the most fun dinner I've ever had. It was just like those 3 in a room. I think Alyssa was there, and who else was there? There's a few other people. We did like this little private dinner thing, and my God, just like nerding out with them about game theory was so much fun.
I like it's so good. Like Rob, we had Dith on a couple of weeks ago. Such a good conversation. I think Gigaverse is obviously On-Chain Heroes, Gigaverse are probably my two favorite. Go like obviously there's so many other good games.
Just fucking wait for what
dude, don't tell me that.
Took so much stuff. I like, dude, the shit that he just comes to me and like, I know one of the guys who's like their lead game advisor, and dude, he'll just like send me messages like, here's this crazy white paper I've cooked up for this idea. What do you think? And I'm like, yeah, please. Like, or Scarlett will be like, I just made this giant Figma file that has like all of my plots and plans. Can you just look at it? And I'll like open it. And I'm like, fuck do you come up with these things? Like,
yeah,
it's great.
I was chatting with them like in the server yesterday, and I'm just like, oh my god, I need to think about this, I need to think about that, I need to think about this, but what if I do that, then that affects that. I'm like, that is epic that you can, and I understand why it took so much time to obviously bring out season 2, because they had to sort it all. Goodness, I just remixed 2 files, but I finally got an epic. Like so
where do you remix, by the way?
How?
Yeah, where do you remix them?
In the gacha on the left side with the lady. Yeah, to where I am, over here to your left. Yeah, there. We're live together, guys.
I see. Okay. So I should remix.
So I'll give you some alpha. The percentages change every day, so it's always better to probably start going hard at the start. I think it's 66%. It was 68% yesterday. If you have 2, that will go up to the next tier. So I just hit back-to-back losses on 2 blues, so it is a little bit more expensive as well the higher you go. But then I've been pretty lucky, to be honest. So I mean, like I've got 3 level 7s
right now.
So much stuff, so it's good. But I'm and Pixels there too. Legend, welcome. So no, I love it. I mean, chat's blowing up at this conversation, so we'll keep the
Saigar too.
Yeah, is he there as well? He's in there.
He's right. He's right there.
The whole chat's here. There you go. The whole chat.
Can you share your screen, Greeny? Hold on. I wonder if it'll fit.
That's so funny. Yeah. So we're.
Oh, your music, Greeny. You have to mute it.
Shit. Sorry. There we go.
Yeah, we're on either side of Saigar.
Saigar's just here behind us. There
he is.
So good.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so I love it. I mean, Pixel's in the chat too. Shout out to Pix. So I want to ask, because a few people have asked about Bitcoin. I know we all know that you're a big maxi.
I am.
Talk to us. What's your thoughts on merge mining and all of that? Like, obviously, the delay was tough, right? Because it meant that people just like it was too long, and that's completely fair. Like I was the same. I had a bag. I cut it because it lost support on the chart. What do you thought? What did you hit a remix?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Wait. I just hit the Twin Terror. It's an epic.
Let's go. What? W's in the chat. W's in the chat.
Oh shit. But I don't know if I can share my screen, but
I can bring it up.
How do I do that?
Down the bottom.
Okay, here we go. Check this thing out. Ta-da.
Oh, there we go. Oh, dude, that's sick. Yeah, I love that. Big fan.
That's good, man. No, that's a good cop. It's the worst when you mix the rarer ones and you fucking lose one, man. To be honest,
I'm always in that boat where I'll just I'll throw anything in and figure it out and just see what happens. Like I don't care. I like doing this for the fun of it.
Same. I'm like, oh shit, I'm burning hundreds of dollars here
as well.
Oh well.
Yeah, but I'm like, it's fun. It's fun. So let's talk Bitcoin stuff. So so when we first were talking to Big Toshi in the first initial conversations, I think one of the questions we always had was like, what's the longevity of this, right? Like, where does this go? And early on, we talked about the sort of need for a next step for the product, that like the product could not exist solely as a Ponzi game. And it was fine to be a Ponzi game for a bit. I think that was like always the intention, was like, we were like, you know what? It's okay to have a Ponzi game for the next period of time. But inevitably, we're going to have to figure out like what's next. What is the next thing? What does it become after a Ponzi? And, we were sitting around and having this conversation with him a few months ago. I'd say like about probably 2 weeks after Bitcoin had launched and the price was sort of starting to hit this level of like, okay, it's ranging from $1 to $2. It's kind of fluctuating here. What's the kind of next step? And something that became kind of interesting to us was this concept of like, okay, well, people were mining different types of crypto, right? you could always mint different types of crypto. It was never like only Bitcoin. And the idea was like, if you move your miner to mine this other token, like suddenly you're not allocating towards Bitcoin anymore. You're not accumulating Bitcoin. You're betting on this new thing. And we were talking about this like fair launch mechanism, and collectively as a team, it was just sort of like, well, I guess like team plus Big Toshi. Cause he's just like, I think it's him and there's like one other dev. And then, we've offered some like dev support here and there. But, for the most part, it's like, just like one or two guys at a time. So, we kind of lent our brain power, and Luca got super involved, and like, he was like, here's the grand vision of the pitch. And, Big Toshi was super interested. And, I think like rightfully people, I think it took too long. One of the things he kind of acknowledged in his post too, which is like, I was talking to him the other day before he put the post out, and I was kind of like, hey, look, here's like a couple of things you should think about. It's just like, been silent for a really long time. Obviously there was issues with the contract deployment. Like, that's fine. I don't think you should hide away from that. Like, I don't think you should try and like pretend that nothing happened. Like, I think it's important to tell people like, look, here's how it failed. Here's what happened. And here's sort of like what we're doing to fix it. And the agreement was sort of like, don't do it until you know what that solution is, right? Because the last thing you want to do is be like, hey guys, I don't know why, but the contract failed. Yeah. And we're going to figure out how to fix it, right? That's super bearish. That scares people. Yeah. And I think that would have scared people more than what happened, which was like, okay, XYZ is going to happen. Let's figure it out. Let's make this process happen. Yeah. So like, I have always been bullish on him. I will continue to be bullish. I think he's a really, really fucking smart dude. I think, what people sort of maybe didn't realize was like the price range that Big is in right now is actually the price range that he did all of his models off of. That was that was actually the price range. It was never supposed to be this token at $17. No Ponzi token should be $17.
It was wild. It was wild.
That was wild. Yeah, I had people like, I had Eli texting me the whole time. He was like, "What the fuck is happening?" Fucking Easy's texting me like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Like, Easy Min, like Min went viral. Easy, I went viral.
Easy's texting me on the side the whole time. He's like, "I don't know what to do here. What do I do?" And I was
I'm making 10 grand a day. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was nuts. It was like, and at the same time, then there's like, people finding like every angle to FUD. They're like, "Oh, your team pre-mined tokens," and I was like, you mean the testnet shit that I used? Yeah, I pre-mined on testnet. Like, oh boy, like, I'm gonna dump all of my Sepolia ETH on you, like. And so it's kind of funny. It was like this whole thing, and like, oh, the team doesn't tweet about Bitcoin anymore, and I'm like, yeah, we fucking do. Like, what do you mean? I don't post my machine every day, but like, I still upgrade my room. My room's still. I still claim my big and upgrade all the time. I still think it's a really novel mechanic. And like, I think when merge mining goes out, like, to me, it's a really interesting concept. And I am less concerned with like, will big go back to $17? I don't care. Like, it can go back to 17. It cannot. I'm more interested in like, how do you gamify a token launch? Like, that's so cool to me. There is no sniping this token. There's no like a whale comes in and just buys up all the token. That's not how this works, right? Like, it's creating this interesting novel mechanic. I was literally just thinking about doing the same thing, by the way. I was like, I lower back.
You're an hour and a half.
I gotta get everyone's gonna start stretching.
Yeah.
I know. It's bad, isn't it? It's the only, it's one of the downsides that this job is stuck to your desk, right?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm literally at my desk like 10 plus hours a day, dude.
Neck and shoulder, for me.
Yeah. It's
I'm getting old though. I'm getting old.
I'm feeling I'm turning 27 on Thursday. I feel like I'm hitting that, like, I feel like I'm hitting the age. I wake up with random aches in my bones.
Man.
Like, fucking, I get the 30, weird hinges,
The good news is, Phin, it gets way worse, man. So wait till 40. Fucking hell. Hearing a 27-year-old say, I'm like, enjoy your body.
I also come from like a lot of like high endurance, high impact sports. So like sailing and skiing and cross country running and like all that stuff. So a lot of I've torn muscles in my legs. I've sprained my Achilles tendon multiple times. ribs, all that stuff. So I'm like, you know, I feel like I've aged myself more physically, where like, you know, I can't walk up too many stairs, or like I have a chip on my heel from running that like flares up every now and again. So, you know, but yeah, I love having the stand up desk now, because I'm like, sometimes I need to just like get up. And, Raj, our new ecosystem guy, he has one of the little treadmills at his standing desk.
Nice.
I need to get one of those, because I always get on calls with him and you just see him. He's just like sitting here in place, just like walking.
Right.
Like, damn, that'd be kind of nice to sit here and walk all day.
Hey, actually, when does that, speaking of the World Series of Poker, or whatever it's called on Abstract, when does that go live? I just had a question in chat in Abstract. Someone was asking about it. Is that
I think something starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I need the details on it. I don't know if we put out all the full details. I know we're still figuring some stuff out with their team, some of like the last final details of like the buy-in process and those kind of things. But yes, I think some stuff starts tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, sick. I was going to ask, or maybe you can't say this, Phin, is there any chance, like with the Abstract Games, there might be a badge associated with this? Blink twice.
Maybe.
Okay, cool. Maybe it's good enough for me. There you go, guys.
I think the way we want to do this one a little bit with like potentially without badges. I think we've talked about a badge, but we have not landed on a badge. Yeah. Greeny, what happened, man? Where did you go?
Yeah, his camera goes dead from time to time. I think he's just gone to the toilet while he's gone.
Fair.
One of the other things I suppose I wanted to ask you, Phin, is there anything coming up that you're personally really excited to see come to the platform? Just on a personal level. I'm not even trying to pump bags here in any way. Or even a feature or a game or anything. What sort of got you going, that's gonna be dope.
So I think like we just had a couple of the ones I was really excited to bring to the table. There are a couple that are not quite going to hit soon, but that I've been working on that I'm really excited for. Some of the things that have kept me like most busy recently. I mean, we have teams that are launching weekly at this point. Pretty much every single week. So there's like a couple things that I'm really excited for. Not ones I can talk about yet, though.
Oh, yeah, damn. Damn. I tried, chat. I tried.
I know. That's the only problem. Not ones I can talk about quite yet. I wish I could just like spill all the secrets to Abstract. But
keep your secrets. That meme from Lord of the Rings, all right? Keep your secrets.
Hey, look, we kept fucking Red Bull a secret. So
that was great.
And that's been 6 months.
Hey, actually, that also, I actually listened, lucky enough, time zone wise, when that got announced, you jumped on Spaces on Twitter, and it was about midnight here in Australia, 11, and I got to listen into you, and I thought that was a great chat. And one of the things I thought was really good that you spoke about that maybe not a lot of people here got to listen to from the US especially, was you were actually, what I liked about what you did is you actually try to put the fire out a little bit with the hype. And I found that really unique and it made me really bullish on you and Abstract as a whole, is that you sort of came on and said to people, okay, everyone relax. This is great. And it's awesome that we've got it and we haven't paid for it, all that stuff. But just understand this is not a pump your bags moment. Yes. I thought that was so good, dude. I thought maybe, do you want to take a little while just to explain maybe that conversation again with that partnership and how that was a positive for the space, but not in the way maybe people would think.
Yeah. So I like, for the most part, I've talked about this a good bit. Most people look at these moments as like, how am I going to speculate on this and pump my bags? How am I going to make money? Yeah. And the short answer is that like, that's how you damage relationships with these big companies is when people come in and they create very, sort of these like pump and dump moments with product, where these teams get really excited because the number goes up and then they don't understand why the number went down and they don't know how to fix it. Yeah. And on the second level, this was to us was a way to establish a how-to, right? Mm-hmm. How do you do this? ApeChain copied us really quickly, which I found was very funny to watch. But we established the how-to, right? We sort of we were like, look, all you're going to do is really simple. You're going to create these like fun little moments. People are going to go in, they're going to claim them for these teams at these moments, and you're just going to move on. There is no speculative nature to this. There's no pump and dump. There's no, I'm going to make $50,000 minting the Red Bull NFT. That wasn't what we wanted to do, because that's just like, how the fuck are we going to do that at scale? We needed this to be a thing where like someone could go in and click a button and get a thing and not know it was crypto and just enjoy it and be like, cool, I got my little Red Bull thing. I log into my account, I see my little Red Bull things. And so I think what was important for me was like limiting people's expectation, because I didn't want people to like run with this as like, oh my God, abstract's going to the fucking moon. Yeah. But that's just like not what it was, right? Like this, this wasn't an abstract to the moon moment. This was like, we did a thing that I think was really fucking big and was like a really big deal, but it was in the context of like, this is us taking a step towards working with the next set of companies and proving our model, proving the system, and saying like, look, this works. People want this. And I remember like we had set the expectation that we would do. I think we had said we were going to do like 250,000 mints for the first one. I think we had estimated it was like, we're going to like, I think it was 200,000 free or something like that, and 50,000 paid. We ended up doing 1 million mints in the first one. And, I had like, people coming to me and being like, well, did you juice this? Did you like, this is all botted, obviously. I'm like, shockingly, no, like I probably could have, like, there's a point during the mint process where I was like, fuck, the number's not gonna be good enough. Are we gonna have to do something to like pump the numbers? Are we have to put incentive behind this? We ended up doing none of that. We ended up just like letting it run as it was. And again, in the first 3 phases, we did, it was 980,000 NFTs were minted. And that was enough that Red Bull came back to us and we're ecstatic to kind of do the next phases of the partnership, and are like super excited for the next couple. So we're planning something around Silverstone with them right now to do something a little bit extra fun and special. And they want to do stuff in Singapore now, and it's like super cool, right? Like these are the things it unlocks. Is like, then they're like, hey, we'll put some marketing spend behind the next one. We'll post about the next one a lot more, right? Because they saw success. Like they didn't just come off as like, this like short-term hype moment.
And probably a bit of trust from them as you guys as a team. They probably needed to be able to trust you. And that moment there allowed them to see that you didn't just use them as a vehicle to pump your bags and kind of tarnish their name. Because people, you didn't have those moments where people are like, oh my God, I minted a platinum and I just flipped it for 5 ETH. Then the holder who bought it for 5 ETH ends up selling it for 0.2 a year later and goes, well, that sucked, right? Like,
and that's the problem, right? You can't give people that experience, and you have to like have that tie back of like, well, you can't give people the euphoric experience of like, oh my God, all this money. You kind of just have to give them the fun experience of like, hey, just collect all these cool things, right?
And I think the artists you picked, I think that's where I felt like you had your finger on the pulse really well, because that would be so easy.
Oh, just wait for the next ones.
Oh yeah, dude. Because I like the artists you picked. 2 of them, one being Queen, other were Dutch Tide. I'm a big fan of both, and I hold work of both. So for me, I was like, dope. I guess you picked 2 artists that I liked, and I just thought that's a good tip of the hat to some artists that have been around here just a little while doing what I think look like the right thing.
So there's 5 artists total across the whole series. So the next couple will come with the next rounds, and then we have 2 more that we just picked up for one of the next activations that I'm so fucking excited for.
We're talking big names. We're talking X copy. We're talking.
It's exact really name I was going to say.
We are talking really big names.
Yeah, epic.
Yeah.
No, I love that. All right, a few quick fire questions. So I know I tweeted out maybe I think it was end of last week. I said, when will I be able to short and long some of these meme coins? Is someone building a leverage installation, dev, DApp, whatever platform on Abstract, or is that distant future? Wait for higher market caps, more liquidity, those sorts of things.
I have a Twitter space on Thursday to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
But yes, yeah. Orderly's coming to Abstract. That's a little thing. They're going to be powering 3 or 4 perps dexes. So we'll have a variety. We're in talks with a BitMEX style Pengu perps DEX. We're in talks with a few different other options across the board. We have a team called Involio, which has been building a very interesting trading platform that incorporates some perp DEX stuff. And all of it we're abundantly excited to bring in. I don't know if any of them will support the low cap stuff. Low caps are really hard to do. Just the insurance of the positions are a little bit funky to figure out. You have to do something again like the BitMEX style, where it's a little bit like it's a little sketchy. To be honest, it requires a lot of like active participation by market makers, and a lot of positions being moved regularly. But you also have to make sure that your underlying asset is not as volatile. So there's a lot that goes into that stuff. But we've wanted to bring it in. It's just been again a matter of finding teams that are willing to take on the challenge, and then also in general, just like Hyperliquid has such a chokehold on perps right now that we're not going to get Hyperliquid to deploy abstract tokens. So we had to really think about that as like, okay, who else can do it well, and are they willing to come to abstract and build something, and then is there going to be enough demand for it when they get here?
Epic. No, that's exciting, because I mean, like that's another area that I love and that a lot of people love. So that's cool to hear that that's on the horizon. Next question.
I mean, I've got Hyperliquid on the left.
Hyperliquid on
they're going for a trip. They're trying to liquidate me a third time today, and I'm not letting it happen.
So funny.
It's gonna happen. I'm so fucked. I was up like 160% leverage last night, and I woke up this morning and I was in the red. They're trying to liquidate me.
Tough market. It's a tough market to trade right now,
dude. It's because I'm shorting. I'm fucking.
Nothing wrong with that. I publicly said everyone should be short last week, and chat. What happened?
It was a great time. Yeah.
So, so next question. There was a person, can't remember their name. They posted that they could get access to the API docs and found that 15 people were in the platinum tier, whether that's correct or not. I don't know.
Roughly accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is, and I'm sure chat would like to know this too, is platinum the highest rank that people can get to? There you go.
There's beyond platinum.
There you go.
Yeah. So think about it this way, though. This is what I have to remind people is, because people always like freak out. They're like, "Oh my god, there's more," and I'm like, "Well, okay, abstract's 4 months old.
Yeah.
Do you think a reward system exists for 4 months ever? Like, that's so dumb. It's gonna exist forever."
That's gonna give the next question, right, Greeny?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I guess the next question could be one of the questions I would have had is, being someone who's keen on quarter four for obvious reasons, like a lot of us are here for. I guess I'm trying to think how to word this where you're not going to give away everything, but what are your thoughts around?
We're not doing seasons like Blast.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Greeny, you go.
But that's if that's what you're sort of getting at.
Yeah, I just wondered what if you could not explain, but what's like the next part after that? How do you keep momentum going, or what are some strategies around that?
But that's the key, right? That's the key to the consumer chain, and that's what Lucas said on that stream a few weeks ago. Is we want to make this like, I can answer the question in a way. They want to make abstract like the platform that is not just because he said basically at the launch when TGE comes out, that makes or breaks a chain, a token. Like you've seen it, as you said, bearer chain, bang. Look at all the airdrops this cycle, bang. Okay, majority of them, except for Hyperliquid, are not at all-time highs. That pretty much just answers that question. But it's about how can we incentivize consumers and obviously the people who have been rewarded to keep their tokens or keep whatever it is to then potentially unlock even more in the future. Yeah,
and that's like, I think when we look at things like Kaido and their model, right? The incentivization to hold and the incentivization to participate continuously in the ecosystem. Like, I think that's where we're kind of interested in looking to. And, rewards and experience don't end at TG, I think, for us. Like, that's not how we look at things. We don't look at it as like, okay, thanks guys.
We've delivered now.
That's it. Fuck off. Like, that's so dumb, right? Like, I think it's important, like, over time you find ways to like properly reward people. And I think if our model works And if the way we're looking at it works, which again, we take our bets, we place them pretty early, we plan for the long term. I think we'll be good. I think like inevitably, right? Luca talks about this a good bit, but like, Pengu is this crazy liquidity moment for the market. People can talk their shit. That's one of the largest airdrops we've had in recent history. That was almost $1 billion of liquidity given out to the market. You can really talk your shit as much as you want to, but the end result doesn't change that fact, which is like, there was a major liquidity moment. And, our intention is to reward people properly, and also is to reward people with the idea and notion that that's, step one and phase one of the long term, which is that we plan to figure out how to reward people for years to come. So, I think everyone, rightfully is like always fixated on this end moment, which is because that's how it's always been done.
Yeah.
But if you're any sort of fan of abstract, you know that for the most part, we don't really follow the trends. We're not really in the same boat where we're like, damn, let's copy the playbook. We like to write our own playbook. And so, rather than us looking at TG as sort of the end moment, it's like, to me, TG is like the beginning, right? Like that's like the unlock of like the next phase of abstract, the next things we get to do and all the new stuff we can create with having this kind of central reward system as part of our ecosystem that's out there and can be, interacted with, and we can explore what it can do. And like that to me is fucking, that's the cool shit, right? Like that's where I get like, that's, when Phin gets to fucking turn on the jets and go. And so, rather than again, what people look at now where they're like, oh, okay, well, fucking, that's it. That's the end. It's like, well,
pack it up, boys.
It's like, that's kind of the beginning of things. Like that's where we're just getting started here.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, a follow-up question to that specifically, perks. It's been something that's been added about for a long time on the platform. Would that kind of come into it, or is that before?
Yeah. So perks is an interesting one. So perks, we designed. The original intentions, we actually had a team who was supposed to come in and do the perks system, and then they kind of just like offered us shit perks, right? And they were not perks that we thought were worthy. Okay, also I just checked I'm way below my liquidation price. We're good. I had to like log in real quick to check. It's not going up and up, and I was like, oh fuck.
What's your level? What's your level? Let me have a look.
Always working?
Huh?
Always working, eh?
What's your level? I'll short from high today probably if we do.
I don't think I'm shorting what you're shorting. Okay. I'll put it that way. I'm shorting alts.
Fair.
That's where I find my joy. I'll put it in the little our chat here. You can see earlier today where I got very. They tested me. They really tested me. I put in a little Twitter chat on the side, but they really tested me. I was like sitting there at the screen like fuck.
I love it. Yeah. Okay.
Tell me, Greenie, or actually Phin as well. I see Easy's post on X about going balls deep on abstract. Is that what
about bloody time? I say.
That's same, dude. I've been so funny enough. Easy's like one of my closest friends in this space. He was the first person I called after talking to Luca. I called Easy. And I was like, fuck, dude, like, what do you think? And he was like, dude, fucking do it. Like, why are you asking me? He was like, you have this opportunity, like, fucking do it. So, we've been talking for a while, and, Easy's big thing, I think for a lot of the time is he has to, unless a team, I think is kind of like, he gets the incentivization through the, Bodagos or through, Nick and Pio or whatever they're doing as a company. Like, I think when he like naturally, he will get really fixated on things. And Monsters Fund and Gigaverse and Bitcoin became those kind of three fixations. And, I think like we had the conversation about it where it was like, I don't pay creators. I don't really pay for the attention. So like, I was very happy with him just finding like the things he loved and finding these things that just got him really interested. And then like, for me, it was just kind of like the gentle nudge of like, okay, I was like, look, you found these things, like you keep getting excited. I was like, we're going to keep bringing these things. I was like, so if you're going to jump in here, like, I think it's time to jump in.
Yeah.
And so we did the stream with Eli and Clemente and Easy. Yeah. And then, on the side we were talking about it, and I kind of like, was just sort of chatting him up about some of the games that we had and some of the things that we were like sort of thinking about doing. And, I think he's a very smart person who sort of sees that opportunity. And, I think this just became the moment where he was like, fuck, I gotta like actually do this now. And, he was done traveling and all that stuff. So it kind of just lined up perfectly. So yeah, he's fucking his current plan is to go fucking balls deep in abstract stuff. And
That's
yeah,
right.
I mean, same thing. I'm like, fucking finally, dude. It's like not like I've been screaming at you forever, but
I guess it's actually probably a good moment to come in as well, because there's a lot of cool shit there now versus 4 months ago. It was a little bit bare, but now there's a lot to
do. I mean, yeah, it's so funny. All of the teams on abstract now were supposed to be there day one. We've, there are very few teams have been late additions. Most of them were just like supposed to be there day one, and for whatever reason, like didn't land. But that was like that was a fucking crazy thing. That was me and Mason. Like every single team on the portal, it was like me and Mason in meetings from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day. Like genuinely, when I look back at my calendar during those couple of months leading up to launch, I mean, fucking horrifying. Like none of us were sleeping. It was like, because I'd come on for a second round of calls from like 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I was like, I had like 3 hours of free time a day. We were just taking calls nonstop, trying to get these teams prepped and ready. And it was like, onboarding call, and then I'd jump into like tokenomics call, and then I'd jump into strategy and go to market planning, and then I'd jump into design planning, and then I'm jumping into internal meetings where we're planning like portal stuff and all these things. And it was like this crazy thing. And then like a bunch of the teams last minute were like, we're not ready, and we're all like, fuck. It's like, but we have a date out there, we have to be ready. And so I'm kind of glad that like people, some of the bigger players like didn't quite hit day one, because I think like respectively, like that was not the right time for everyone to kind of be there and be involved. And like, I like that we've been able to kind of build up to where we are. Like I enjoy that we kind of get this like slow build to where we've gotten to. Cause like, I think like maybe at launch, right? Like I could see why people kind of were like, oh, abstract flopped. I'm like, well, you know what? In what we promised, like maybe we didn't hit. But I think it's like looking at it today, like it's very hard for anyone to come in and really, see that. And I've spoken to teams at other chains, and, it becomes a pretty consistent conversation with other teams where they have very, very rightfully, and what we hope to do is like they give us their flowers for it. Cause like, we set out on a pretty aggressive mission. And, we really wanted to come in and do things in a way that like was non-traditional and was going to kind of, was always going to ruffle a little bit of feathers, because, the way Luca is, like, there's no half-assing stuff.
Yeah.
You don't get to be second at anything that you do when you're part of the Igloo brand. You don't get to be one of the XYZ platforms. Like you have to be the thing. And the same way that, Pudgy doesn't settle for being like a NFT project. Pudgy settles for being the NFT project.
Yeah.
And especially for us, I think that same sentiment stands. And so I think we're like in that spot where enough creators, like, I finally had a lot of those guys kind of finally coming back to me and being like, okay, it looks like there's like a bunch of shit to do. Like, can you tell me what to do? Like, tell me what to jump into, tell me what to play. And it's good. I've been doing kind of a lot of like, white glove onboarding calls with some of the bigger guys. And, we even had that same thing with Ansem, where like early on I was like, look, ecosystem's not ready for you, dude. Like there's some cool stuff. I don't think there's enough that you're really going to be that excited about. Like, I think, the vision. It's like, it's going to take time to cook. And when it cooks, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And, we kind of now look at like, those guys kind of pop in at these moments. They're like, hey, I want to check out abstract now. And
What's
I'm like,
happening?
great.
Yeah.
It's like, here's my Calendly, like book a call,
Perfect.
take 30 minutes. Let's run through it. I'll explain everything to you. And it's like hitting that stride, which is good.
Yeah, that's cool. I suppose a good follow-up question to that, just off the rim, is what if someone's looking in and they want to maybe get involved, and I'm coming from more of an employment sort of opportunity. Is there opportunities for people in abstract with Luca, with yourself and that now, or is that something that comes as you scale and as you bring more users, more viewership, all that sort of stuff?
So it's actually very interesting. We add employees usually, like right now we're a little bit slow on it, but I think we like add employees when we kind of hit like we don't realize we need someone until we need them. And then we hire them. That's how the last couple of hires have gone. Yeah, I'm like my camera. I feel like I'm like.
I'm plugging mine back in.
Oh, you're plugging it. Yeah, I have mine plugged in. I think the battery in it is cooked.
I think mine's cooked too now.
Yeah, I think I need to order a new battery because I unplugged it earlier and like an hour later it died. And I was like, oh fuck, that's not good. I need to get the one that goes into the bottom of the Sony. And it's just like hardwired and plugged into the wall. I just have like a USB-C cable.
That's literally. Maybe I need to do that too because I've got a Sony.
Yeah,
I need to do that.
Yeah, I think it's like not the way to do it. But yeah, so we operate very much as like this lean team. Like it even took a while for us to bring in someone on Mason's team, and like, I mean, shit, we probably should have a lot earlier, but we, like, I think me and like marketing and engineering are like the two biggest teams. I have 5 people on my team. I think engineering is 6 or 7, maybe 8 as a team. So we're still very small, right? Like we're not a a large team, and I do have people a lot ask like, oh, you're hiring. Is there a job opening? The like short answer is no. Like we only hire off necessity, and when we do have necessity, we're usually very like we just go to the person that we want. I think the only person who's hiring right now is I think Saigar's hiring right now. He needs another engineer, but like that's like the few times where it'll go public. But other than that, like Dyla, for instance, like that was sort of like I was like I think we're gonna need someone to fill this kind of community marketing role.
Yeah,
and that was I just went to Dyla because I've known Dyla for a long time, and I was like, hey,
can you do this?
Is this like can you do this? Is this interesting to you? Do you want to do this? Would you do this? And Dyla's fucking amazing, so of course she was like, yeah, of course I'll do this. I was like, yes. But it's like the same way where like there's, I look at it as like less than like fielding applicants. There's sort of a time and place where I go, that's the person I want.
Yeah.
And then that's about like having the conversation to go like, okay, are you, do you want to come join and do this? Raj was kind of that way where like, I was talking to Mason and I was like, I need help. And we're going to wait for my desk. It always takes so long. But like Raj was someone who I was like, willing to or thinking about hiring for my team. And then the conversation kind of came, was like, well, Mason needs help as well. And so it was like going to, him be like, hey, you'll kind of fill this interesting role where you'll help a little bit on both sides. Are you cool with that? And then I think like, we'll scale the team eventually. But I think the concern you always have when you're a small team is like what happens when you do become a big team. Because we operate in such a way right now that it's like, we're really fucking fast in what we do. From like iteration to execution, really fast cycle. The more people you hire, the slower that process gets. And again, it'll be inevitable that we have to do it. But I think we'd like to avoid getting to that point, I think, for as long as possible.
Yeah, very fair. I like that. Last quick question, and then I've still got more questions, but
oh my god, of course, we're fine. Like I'm chilling, I'm loving it.
Okay, good. But that's okay. Okay, my last question. No. I'll talk about this topic first. Streaming is so like a lot of people ask, oh, Greeny, like how can I become a streamer? Like how can I get on Abstract? What can I do to get more viewers?
Do this.
Just do this. Jump on.
Just start talking.
Start talking.
Make it like easy though. I think a lot of people like. We've interviewed some people and it's like, like this one, for example, just so easy. Like it just makes so much sense. It's just so easy to talk. Normal casual conversation. You interview some people like, oh, bro, you probably shouldn't be on this interview right now. You're a bit like, there's just levels of cringe or lack of understanding of how to pitch yourself or pitch your product, whatever it is. So
it's the way I look at it is like, there's 2 types of content creators. There's you as a content creator where you're like a solo act. And then I think there's the ensemble creators, which like some of my favorite creators on their own, not really anything super funny, but in context, in their group, fucking hilarious. Right. Like, I in the few games I get to play, I play a little bit of Tarkov, Escape from Tarkov. There's a really big creator, Burnt Peanut, who like has been, fucking blown up for a while. Super awesome, really funny dude. And like he has like these 2 guys who play with him, right? And them as characters, like I don't watch their streams as much as I watch like them as a group and their group content. And I'm very interested in that angle. And like, I think that's like always been this kind of thing with content creators. So it's like, I think people worry too much about like them being the only interesting part. When like you can just be one part of the interesting thing. Like,
agreed.
I think especially in the modern age of like clipped content, and it's like, again, why streaming is so interesting to me, is that like it actually doesn't matter if you're interesting for 6 hours. It just matters if you have your one really good joke, right? Like that's all that matters. And you know, it's the same with comedians, right? Like we don't really think of Dave Chappelle for his 4 hours of comedy. We think about him for the one joke he tells that everyone retells. And I think a lot of, you know, comedians are like that, where it's like everyone knows, like, you know, the Theo Von joke that he says, right? Like it's like, you know, a joke that he says, like, you know, for me, it's always like, you know, Theo Von always has his line about like the limousine of rats, which is ferrets, right? You know, the limousine of rats, ferrets, right? Which is it's just that one joke, right? And like that's how I think of him. But he has thousands of hours of content. And so like I think people get really stuck in their head about like, well, I need to be something for all this time, and it's like you don't. Like you just need to be funny for your moments, or entertaining for your moments, or informative for your moments, and like those are the things that people are going to remember you for. And so like the easiest way to get into it is like just do it, right? Like when I started doing content, you know, when I was in high school, like I worried so much about that. I worried about like, oh my god, am I going to be interesting if I vlog for 15 minutes? And I was like, well, that's such a dumb way to think about it. Like I should just make this video and like put it out there and figure it out. You know, I think that's why for me, like TikTok made so much sense, because it was like, I just pump out all these things, and then if one video hit and people knew me for that, great. Amazing. I've done my job. So that's like my big thing with pushing for people is like, you know, again, like really just focus on like, you know, you're going to have your moments. They're always going to happen. Don't worry so much about the long term of it and the scale of it, and that you're funny for 6 hours straight, because you're not going to be. No one is.
No one is. Yeah, exactly.
It's like unsustainable to think that way. But if you can have your moments and you can fixate on those things, like I think you're, you know.
And that's what we spoke about with Dyla last week about it. Like stand out. Like if you want to get approved as a streamer, stand out. Approach Greenie and Craig. Jump on the show. Do something ridiculous on the timeline. Go viral. It's things like that. Don't just be hey guys, like I want to stream because I want to do that. It's just like, nah, stand out. You got to stand out. You got to stand out.
The secret is just people want to stream because they think it's going to be like their win to get a ton of XP, and
it probably
only gets,
tell us, is
it doesn't XP or not? The only because it's like
exactly
the only way you get really good XP is if you get a lot of viewers or clips or badges. Like you have to get all these other things. You have to get verified. You have to have a ton of people chatting, donations. Like again, it's a cumulative thing. So it's like you know there's a lot that goes into it. And you know, early on, I think we juiced creators too much, because we set it up where people were like, oh, I don't have to do much to get a good amount of XP. And, you know, I think there's still a lot of work I have to do on the XP system to, you know, especially when it comes to streamers and content creators. So I want it to be that level of like, it rewards people who put in the effort. But yeah, it's, you know, like XP alone is not going to be your winning ticket.
I did notice that it did seem to get nerfed, the streaming XP. I was almost purely streaming to start with and not interacting with the games very much. And my XP probably went down 90%.
Yes.
Thanks, Phin.
But I had to force people. We had to rebalance. But you know why that was actually? There's an interesting reason.
People just streaming and walking away and stuff like
that? It was the 24 hours non. Like
so there's a couple of so there's a couple of things. Basically, people were trying to game XP by not using product, and we also the flip side too was we also and I recognize this, we didn't have enough product to keep people entertained. So there had been this shift where the amount of stuff you could do on chain had imbalanced the amount of streamers. And so I think we've overcorrected. So I want to recorrect that back now that we have this oversaturation of product, this undersaturation of streamers. I'd like to get us back up to where it's a little bit of a healthier mix of the two. But it's also like, you know, we're playing this constant balance of the investment of time and the investment of money, which is the hardest thing to balance when it comes to reward systems, is like, how do you balance those two? Like, how do you properly balance someone who has time but no money and someone who has money but no time? And, you know, balancing those two is incredibly difficult, and people always feel like they get the short end of the stick because they'll look to other people and be like, you got so much more XP than me, but you didn't do as much, or, you know, you did a ton, but I didn't get as much XP. And, so we're always kind of constantly playing that game. And we, we're still, we're 5 months in or whatever it is. And we still make changes every single week. We're still iterating and, looking at how we can improve things and working with individual teams to like make sure their data is more in depth and accurate and is properly reflecting some of the nuances of product. And, it gets harder and harder the more teams we add, because, we went from 10 apps that got XP to I think these days there's probably 40 something apps that earn XP, and Memecoins and streaming and NFTs, 20 something NFT projects on there. So there's quite a whole process now. And I think also because of that, some people look at it as like, oh, my XP is going down. Your XP isn't going down in the same way that the pool is being diluted.
Correct.
And that's, I think, something also we're trying to figure out how to better culture people on, is that like, you aren't expanding your field of reach. And so
rapidly enough.
If if it used to be that like Gotcha and Multiplier are splitting the majority of the gambling pot, there's now a lot more gambling apps.
Yeah.
They're also taking that pot. So if you're just using one of them, we weight XP based on app usage. And so if there's more apps being used per app, they're getting less XP to a degree, or not less XP. We don't do it. It's not like we allocate like, oh, you get 100,000 XP, but in the sense of like the cumulative impact that they have is lessened because of the other things. So, that's something that we kind of have been looking at a lot is how to kind of culture people to understand that they're not being nerfed necessarily.
We literally talk about it every week, and because I understand the model, and Craig does too, and we do our best to sort of educate in that way. That for example, everyone went really good last week because Red Bull Racing had a shit ton of transactions and volume on.
And that's what people have to understand. Like that had and again, there are always times where we overcorrect. I think we overcorrected a little bit on Red Bull, but it's hard because, when we looked at it, we're like, okay, we kind of rank XP as this thing where we look at like, what's the impact this product has. From a financial angle, Red Bull didn't really have an impact, but from a company perspective and from an ecosystem perspective, it was a massive impact. And so that to me is like, kind of where that conversation gets really fun and nerdy. And this is where I get like super autistic, is into like this kind of stuff where it's like,
I love it.
Yeah. It's like, this is where I get really excited.
I like the game theory of this for like a lot.
Yes. And it's super, super game theory. It's super we treat the ecosystem like an economy where we're constantly like balancing, correcting, and leveraging the different aspects of like, okay, we were talking to Scarly about this a lot with On-Chain Heroes, is like, how do we properly weight your NFT whales versus your game whales? Yeah. What does that look like? How do you consider those two? And it becomes that interesting conversation where it's like, okay, well, as a game designer, what do you value more? And you've never had to value whales, right? That's not a thing that's existing in games before. So now you have to value someone who holds a bunch of assets and maintains a price point, and someone who's pumping a bunch of money through your ecosystem. And, it's super fun. It's definitely like nerve wracking every single time, because we're always like, making these last minute changes up until 5 minutes after we're supposed to deploy XP. And then we go to deploy and then we're like, okay, did we get it right? And we always we have like 25 wallets. We spot check every week. And, we immediately go and got like the Discord mods are like immediately like in every single channel, one person per channel, pull all the feedback in. Did we fuck anything up? And I think in like 5 months of this, so that's 20 XP distributions. I believe we've only had one single week where we had to make a correction. Where we when we ran
the Cambria, was it that week?
I believe it was Cambria. No, it wasn't Cambria week, or maybe it was. I think it might have been Cambria. We had it was like around. It was definitely around Cambria. I feel like where we incorrectly indexed NFTs, and it's the only time we've ever had a mistake. And when we ran the software that models everything out and condenses all the spreadsheets, it didn't index the NFT stuff. And we went out and even I had it. It went out for me and I was like, ooh, guys, I went from 30K XP to 13. I was like, we fucked up. Something happened. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
and it was like I think again at 20, 1 in 20 has been like the kind of the number of like actual mistakes we make. People probably think we fuck up more than that because they don't get the XP they want. But
I actually feel it's pretty fair for what I put in, I get out. That's how I feel about it. I definitely feel that if I put in a concerted effort that week, I get much more than if I just relax on it. So I try and optimize it all the time. And I feel if the mechanics were wrong, I would have been discouraged a long time ago for doing that, because I'd be like, fuck, I'm putting in more time and I'm not getting anything more, and I would have stopped. So the fact I'm still going, I think, means you're dangling the carrot adequately or correctly, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's always interesting that part of the game theory of like how you dangle that carrot. But the way I look at it also is like, I try to do an even and equal level of on-chain interaction each week. And like one thing that I do right is I keep a consistent holding of tokens and NFTs to kind of like self sort of correct a little bit and to see how the impact week over week it happens. And so that's like an interesting thing we play with too, is sort of like I have a sort of base level understanding of what I should get per week based on the things that I do. And I try to keep that pretty consistent. And so that's where like I notice when things get kind of like out of spec is like, oh shit, I got a very different number than I'm used to. Did we mess something up? And again, sometimes it just comes down to like, I didn't use, like I didn't have a ton of time to like Cambria. And so when Cambria had his juice, like I fell behind and I was like, fuck, but it was the truth, right? Like I just didn't have the time to play Cambria. And I think the people that did, like,
that was a great XP earner, by the way. Phin, I had a great couple of weeks with Cambria. Bring it back, man. That was
we're working on it.
So sick.
Yeah, pretty soon. We have some really cool news with them.
One last, but just before I let you go, Greeny, and this will be a quick one. I wanted to ask, with games or anything that's not on the portal. Now, I don't know if this is a noob or retard question. Can you earn XP? Like,
yes,
you can.
Yeah. So we have a couple of. Yeah, there's a couple of products, games and non-games, that do earn XP that are not on the portal. So, for instance, like Looter, right? Looter is a Telegram bot. Looter's not on the portal because it's a Telegram bot. So we work with Looter and we integrated an HEW connection so people would earn XP. With those teams, basically, we use on-chain data. So we scrape data from them. They give us endpoints. We scrape those endpoints. We pull in the data. We index it. We issue XP. OCAP, right? Vibes, off-chain. So, we worked with them to identify KPIs and metrics that we would be willing to reward a user's XP for. They have a wallet connection to the account. The same with 77-bit. So when 77-bit was happening and was running, it was a very similar thing. That was primarily, almost entirely, an off-chain game. Very little of that game was on-chain. So we had to figure out how to properly reward XP. It's a conversation we've had with a variety of teams. So yeah, we're very confident in, again, when I talk about like product impact every week, that impact doesn't necessarily mean on-chain data, because that impact can be, a cultural impact, a community impact, a sentiment impact. Like we weight those kind of things as well, where like something like the abstract games, not exorbitantly on chain, but the society, like the cultural impact, the community impact of that product is worth a lot. And so rewarding that becomes a more interesting game for us to play, where, we do have to start thinking about like, what does that look like? And how do you reward that properly? And, you can't weight it 1-to-1 with on-chain interaction, because people look for volume drivers and those things, but you want to kind of figure out the balance.
I wanted to ask that. So obviously you mentioned waiting. I think a lot of people don't understand that waiting does come into it. And each week, like for example, Cambria is not live now, so you're not going to get any for being part of that. Just as a really poor example.
But it's a good example.
Yeah. Whereas like on-chain heroes right now, season 2, lots of volume on the hero token. So probably being in that ecosystem will reward you better this week. So I want to explain that to chat. I think a lot of people misunderstand that.
100%.
Easy wants to jump on stream as well, Greeny, by the way.
It's easy. I'll tell him to hit our DMs.
Does he want
to just replied to me. Got the big fella. Thanks, Phin. Maybe
well, it's right now.
Tell him to jump in now.
Sorry to interrupt. I got excited.
Hold on.
I'll text him.
Yeah. I mean, he can jump on now. I mean, we can schedule a time, but if he wants to jump on now, he can. That's easy. I don't care.
That'd be funny.
I wanted to ask though because a lot, first point, a lot of people don't like. I've spent like I'm a trader. I'm an analysis. I bloody exactly the same way as you. I think about shit that in ways that people don't even think about. I think about, okay, well, why is A getting this? Why is B doing this? Why is C doing this? But why am I not doing this? Okay. And so I think about that in a range of different ways. And then I go, okay, hey guys, GTG members, this is what we should probably do it. And a lot of them have improved. But weighting is certainly things that I think a lot of people need to understand occur each week. I wanted to ask about the social impact. So
he said it's 4 a.m. for him right now.
It's 4 a.m. Holy. Dude,
he's in Turkey right now.
Oh, he's in Turkey. Okay, I was about to froze up. That's crazy.
He said it's 4 a.m. I'm already in bed, so I must close my eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to say the social community part of it. Does that come into XP? So if I'm bull posting abstract on Twitter, which I normally do anyway because I love it and I enjoy it, that's why I do it. Does that help XP or is that not related at all?
Yeah. So the way I explain it a little bit is it is not a direct one-to-one. Like I'm not running the Kaido model where I'm like, oh, you posted 8 tweets about abstract. Here's 1,000 XP.
Yeah.
The way that we look about it really is I'm interested in giving creators who are active and engaged the roles and boosts that apply to their XP.
Yeah.
So it's like that, right? The graduated elite, Giga Chad, those things, badges, multipliers.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I get interested.
Yeah.
We have a secret multiplier that can be applied to creators, that it's not like a public facing badge, but that we do offer sometimes to creators where we see people engaging super productively and we kind of will apply the like creator badge, I guess. Bonus. I don't know how to call it. It's like a secret badge, but it's like a hidden badge. It doesn't show up in your account.
Okay.
But it's kind of like the threader badge or the clipper badge, but it's one that doesn't necessarily like you don't fall into one of those two categories. So yeah, that's kind of like the way we do it. I would say that's like a more infrequent thing that we do. I don't think we do that as much as the others, but I do want to get more active with having these kind of like public facing, like, hey, you did some good shit this week. Like here's something to reward you for it.
Yeah.
Maybe a shoey badge, Phin. I did a shoey badge last week on abstract.
You did?
Yeah.
I saw that. I think. Yeah. For the red.
I'd love to see a shoey badge come along, but maybe we'll have to work on that one. Maybe
we can work on it. I
was going to ask when Craig Giga Chad wrote.
Yeah.
Dude, you don't have it?
Nah.
Phin. No,
the big man.
I've been calling and writing you, and you. Actually, I'm going to give a shout out to Phin. I have seen Phin DMs, and he's replied graciously. And some of them I was probably being a slight pest, so I'm going to give Phin a bit of a shout out.
Oh, dude,
you've been great. Bro.
I wish. I feel so bad about this, and this whatever. I call it like the suffering from success thing. I get every single day, like no joke, probably between 50 and 100 DMs.
That's too many,
maybe more.
Yeah. And Twitter's bad with DMs.
Twitter's so bad. Well, dude, and I get them on Telegram too, which by the way, if you try and reach me on Telegram, like I have my DMs off. I'm sorry. But like if you try and send me a DM, I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, don't try to be sneaky.
I can't. I just can't. Yeah. I have people who try all the time. I'm like, God, I can't do this. I will, like, I immediately delete messages if it's not from somebody who's like.
I get it as well. It's always a scam as well, half the time at least. It's like, fuck this, download this. I'm like, no way, bro. Don't even know you.
Yeah, the reality is like what I want to kind of get towards, and it's the problem, right? I think people want to talk to me, and I get it. It's like the natural instinct to want to talk to me. What I want people to be more comfortable with is like Dyla and Logan and Brian are just as fucking capable about handling anything that we do. Like Dyla can handle her shit. Like she's fucking great. Logan can handle his shit. Brian can handle his shit, and they do. So like. If you're not like getting through to me, like please use them as resources because like that's why I hire them. That's what I pay them for.
Yeah.
But they're amazing too. And I think like I you know, more recently have had to set boundaries with people where I've been like, look, you know, I don't have time to take a call with you. Like I would, you know, normally I would love to, like, I'd love to take a call with you. But like, you know, I have to set boundaries sometimes. Or like, look, you know, take a call with Raj and Logan. You know, if you make it through the process, like we can hop on a call too. But like, you know, I just don't have the time to do this. And it, you know, it sucks. Cause like, I think for a very long time, like I was that person who was just like, you know, I'd talk to everyone all the time. And
yeah.
You know, and I always say yes. And that's the kind of person I am where like, I really want to give everyone as much of my time as I can. And it's really just like, we've hit this point as a company where like things are going a lot better than they were and are a lot busier than they were. And like, I just don't have the time. It's why Logan's been doing so many streams recently is like, I basically been like, hey, I can't jump on the stream, but like, you know, hop on with Logan, hop on with Dyla. You know, they can talk about abstract as much as you need to, and they can talk about all these things. And, you know, they're sort of like the select kind of groups where, you know, the kind of people where, you know, I've owed them like you guys were like, I've, you know, I've owed being on the show for so long. And, you know, I had to get through my travel, and that's like another thing that has been like a bit of a hindrance on everything is like, I haven't been home a ton. So like people were like, yeah, we're going to like jump on stream. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to like,
you're like,
I'm in a hotel room and I'm like, I'm running from event to event. Like, it's just not going to work this week. And then I get back and I'm tired from traveling and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to, you know, do a stream right now. And so that's like been, you know, a bit of a difficult process recently is trying to get people to shift over to understand, like, I am not all that abstract is. I am not the only person on abstract. And, you know, I was kind of seeing ICO talk about this with like, you know, kind of having these like, I forget what he called them, but these like personalities at companies where like, I think by nature, people associate abstract and me as like a uniform thing. And it's really good. And it's like super productive because when we go and do events and talk about things, like there's a sort of byproduct nature of like, people want to talk to me and want to talk to Mason. But in the reality, it's like, we also have to understand that like Logan and Raj, like they're there to actually have those conversations first, right? Like take those conversations and like, you know, it seems like Phin just fucks around all day on Twitter. Like, you know, doesn't do real work. But like, you know, it's like, right. It's like, you know, everyone is like, you know, yeah, Phin's just fucking around and doing nothing. It's like, well, it seems like that, I'm sure. But the reality is like, you know, a lot of my day is consumed by work. A lot of my time is consumed by a lot of like higher level stuff and a lot of the kind of like really like, you know, important conversations that are happening at a you know, much higher level than they were 4 or 5 months ago. And so, you know, I have to like start protecting my time a little bit and, you know, but again, it's like, it sucks because like, I want to be doing it. Like, I'd rather just jump on streams all day, but it's like, I also have work that I have to do, decks I have to make and proposals and pitches. And, you know, I have to take calls with these important teams and do, you know, planning on the Red Bull stuff, which has become a pretty intensive project. And, you know, so there's like, I'm trying to work on that balance of like, you know, everyone wants a piece of the Phin time and Phin pie, and like, there's only so much for me to go around.
But I think, like you like obviously Luca is like the founder, the head honcho, but like in a way you have become the face because of your being viral on Twitter. Like it is,
and probably being an open book, being approachable,
being an open book. I agree. And I think that's great.
Nice, it seemed like a nice guy who will shoot the shit.
I always wanted that. You know what the only problem is? Because I see this comment from people sometimes where they're like, oh, so like the only way to get attention in abstract is like to, you know, kiss Phin's ass. Everyone has to be a suck up. And I'm like, you don't though. Like, a lot of my friends are people who are talking shit. Like, I actually like, I'm very like, I like having the conversations on both sides of things. I don't want people to just be bullish on what we're doing. I want people to question what we're doing. Yeah. I want people to question what I'm doing. But yeah, it is that thing where like people have sort of like become to associate this. And I think that was like, you know, that was Luca's goal. Like that was the conversation we had, was like, Luca was like, I want to be able to like take a step back at times. And like the only way I can take a step back is if there's somebody there who can like fill that gap. Yeah. And I think for like a lot of people that's sort of a daunting thing to like, you know, one step into, but also to like relinquish that control. And it was like, I shadowed Luca for months on these things, where like every space he did, I was sitting there and just like, taking notes and calls and all this stuff. And until like we got to the point where it was like confident enough that like my vision and direction was like aligned with Luca's vision and direction, and that we saw eye to eye on things, and that's like a very difficult thing to do. And, again, it puts you in that position where like, and Bread Guy deals with this with Mega ETH, but like people think like somehow, he's like in a founder level, right? And it's like, it's the funny thing where it's like, it's not that we're not actually founder level. It's just that we have become sort of that most attentive, most active, most like approachable access point into abstract.
You're the understudy. You're the understudy, right? Like you have the big guy, and then you're the understudy. Like you're the perfect Robin to Batman. Like it's pretty clear. Like,
I actually like that. I like that.
That's good.
Yeah, but it's it's an interesting like dynamic, and because it really only exists in it doesn't only exist in Web3, but it's like so prevalent in crypto that like everyone wants this like character figure to kind of like attach to. And I think there's like people who can play that role as solely CT figures. But I think the trick with me is that like I have a full-time job to do on top of it, where it's like, I still have a lot of work that I have to do on top of trying to be in as many Twitter spaces as possible and to do streams all the time and to do all these things. And, I think there's a lot of people who like want to sit in that position to some degree, but it's like, dude, it's like, it's like you're on call 24/7 and you kind of have to always keep this like momentum going, which, you slip up or you let off the gas pedal and like things crumble. And it's why I want to build this sort of like expectation of sort of, the rest of the team being as active as possible. And I push our team a ton to be as active on social media and out there as possible, because like, I think like it kind of eases the burden on any like one of us to be the only person that people can reach out to. Like I like that people just reach out to Dyla for things, or reach out to Logan, or reach out to Brian, or are reaching out to Jared or Abril on the DevRel team, or, Saigar doesn't respond to his DMs, but trying to respond, trying to reach out to Saigar in his DMs, or any of those things. Like, I think that to me is like going to be the kind of like winning factor, really. Also, I think I just got liquidated.
Live on stream.
I just did. Damn. Yeah, I like looked over at the price and I was like, oh, my exit was 64. It's 66. But yeah, so those are like kind of the things I'm most interested in sort of figuring out, is like how do you have these like multiple figures that like fill that role. We'll see how it plays out. I'm hoping people get confident enough in Logan like I am that start going to him for stuff.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time. Hey, and trust. It does. Like that's inevitable.
Yeah.
All right, chat's been banging me for 2.5 hours about this question.
Yeah.
Yes.
When dark mode?
That's a great
I don't know. I wish I knew. I have seen iterations of dark mode. I don't know when that will go live. I know that our creative team is very interested right now in a bit of a revamp on the portal, like a very like top-down revamp of the UI and UX. So the conversation has always been that we will, apply dark mode when that revamp happens. I know some people in the community have started getting messages from this guy, Ricky, who is a designer we recently brought on. These two fucking incredible designers. Ricky's phenomenal. One of this incredible work. You'll see actually some of his work soon with Monsters.fun. So we offered to help Monsters Fun with a new revamp of their platform. Fucking beautiful. It's incredible. Ricky and his guy did a just amazing job with their site, and you'll kind of start to see that, and then you'll see this sort of new visual identity hopefully come out for the portal, and again that will tie into getting to have something like dark mode come to the portal.
Epic. Craig, do you have questions?
I've got just a couple of questions in the chat. One of the questions from Rocky was, do tippers and people who watch content get XP?
Ooh.
So rather than making content, those consuming, I suppose, is then XP earned for consuming.
Yeah. Directly watching, no. Interacting, yes.
Okay, beautiful. Yep. And last one of the other ones, what would be the best way to climb the roles for Abstract? I'm guessing they mean the Discord roles.
Yeah, so I would say the easiest way is just being active in the Discord. I think like the community team is like super fucking proactive about seeing who's like actually contributing to conversations.
Yeah.
And like that's it really.
Yeah, look, I agree. And that's kind of happened organically with me, is that just had to do the work. There was no other way to say it. Like,
oh shit,
I grinded for bloody ages.
Oh, I just got an SL as well. Goodness gracious. What's the market doing right now?
Is it pumping or dumping?
I don't know.
Pumping.
Pumping.
So I was short, so
boys, the bulls are back. The bulls are back.
I'm ready to short this high though, Craig. I want another lower high, and I'm shorting the shit out of it down.
Give me 100K Bitcoin. I'm going to go quite deep.
Finn, you mentioned earlier about like kind of like being in the limelight, trying to get like Logan in there, Lucas stepping back, that sort of stuff. What I love about Abstract is that you haven't paid for marketing, right? And marketing comes from consumers such as myself, such as Craig, such as Eli, such as Gus, whoever it is. Woo is growing a huge brand. Azino, another great member of the Abstract community. These people all worldwide. I think that's the special part of Abstract right now, and being early, is that these sort of names are creating that marketing for you, and it allows people in the team not to have to worry, because they know that Greeny's going to wake up and probably hit that mind share again on Cookie.Fun, and he's gone for number one against Eli, you know, like shit like that. Like, so I love that about that. That was always the goal and the focus, correct?
Yeah. So my way of marketing has always stemmed from a very like community cult focus, where I think there are teams who feel very comfortable paying, and I think there are teams who feel very comfortable putting in the work. And I have always been much more comfortable putting in the work than I have been paying. Because 9 out of 10 times when I pay for something, I kind of get fucked. You know, it doesn't pan out the way I want. It doesn't go the way I want. And the worst thing ever is when this is the problem in crypto, and like Laudio is a great example of this.
Yeah.
Mindshare is a fleeting moment when you pay for it, because inevitably the next person is willing to pay. And most creators, love them to death, operate in a way where when they're always looking to get paid for every piece of content they put out. And with Abstract, I was significantly more interested in people who were willing to do it for their own self-benefit long term, that they saw value in, like, if I create here, if I do something here, like, I know that I can be early enough to the ecosystem to place my bets accordingly. I can have an edge on the market, whatever it was, that they were willing to take that kind of risk.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I tell people that we didn't spend marketing dollars, like, I genuinely mean, like, I think in grand total, like, I think I ran one campaign in November. I spent $10,000 on a creator agency, and I got fuck all for it. It was awful. It was just like, I got just Chat GPT garbage. And it was and it sucked, because it was like, you know, I kind of like, I needed to turbo accelerate our attention. I needed to get eyes on Abstract. I needed to get things going. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just like, I don't really like doing this, but I'm going to try it. And it didn't work. And pretty much from that day, I was very much just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to pay for attention, you know. And I think you can consider what we do in terms of like the XP and kind of the nature of Abstract, that we do technically, like, in some way there's a, you know, a little bit of a give and take, and people are doing things with the intention of earning XP for downstream rewards, but it's not a one-to-one financial in the moment. And I think you can say with any type of content push, like there's always a give and take, right? You're always like, there's an angle you're playing with what you're putting out there. You're looking to get something back, whether it's impressions, whether it's followers, whether it's potential paid work, whatever. Like there's an angle you're playing at all times. But I really like exploring the ways in which you create like a more equal ecosystem where it's the give and the take is from both sides, but it's not just me giving you money, but it's me giving you opportunity. And I think in the long run, again, I'm always in this mindset of like, I think I'm fucking right and I'm delusionally right. And I'm going to fucking prove to you that I'm delusionally right.
Yeah.
And this is another one of those examples where I'm like, look, I'm fucking right that I'm not going to pay for mindshare on CT. I'm not going to pay creators monthly to stream on Abstract. I'm not going to pay creators monthly to tweet about Abstract. I'm not going to do XYZ. I think we can do this in a way that creates like interesting things to do. That's going to give people like you guys a constant flow of shit to talk about.
That's
and if it's like I have to put in the work to bring you things to do, and then that gives you guys a plethora of like, you can just fucking talk about shit because I'm gonna keep bringing shit for you to do.
It is what you need. It's what you need. Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it's the same level of like, when you go to like when you're in like a niche field of content creation, if you are a Minecraft YouTuber, you are relying on Mojang to consistently be putting out updates and putting things into the game, and for map builders to be making maps. You're expecting, right, new stuff to do, because innately you can't just create the same thing forever. And like that was sort of this like idea with how things had to be, which is like, we have to create an ecosystem that's constantly iterating, because like either no one's going to talk about it, right? Like we could bring all this up and then no one fucking talks about it. And it's like, shit, we fucked up. Or we hyper curate this early list of people who are super hungry for things to talk about in Abstract. And then we just fucking deliver shit to them. Yeah. And we make sure that teams are shipping, and we make sure that products are coming. There are NFTs, there are tokens, there are all these things. Like if we can just curate this, that's going to be this crazy winning strategy. And fucking worked, right? Like it worked because I'm delusionally bullish on like it's going to work. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like, oh my god, someone clip?
Yeah, bro. I was just about to say your liquidation is.
Oh really?
In 5 minutes, man. That's quick.
Who was it? Who was it?
Who was it?
It was
Gion, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're a little pudgy holder. Shout out to you.
Shout out. That's so
and isn't that a good feedback loop, Phin, where it happens to Greeny and I all the time? We'll be talking still live on stream, and I'll get notifications, and something we said from 5 minutes ago is already been clipped and viral, which helps us as creators, because then I didn't even have to clip myself. I now have people clipping me like I'm someone, but I'm no one. But it's
crazy, right?
And I'll add to that. Like, if you clip content of ours and it's good, I will retweet you and get you my 33,000 followers every time. Like,
I repost every time.
And I'll follow you back, because if you're gonna do like Tig, shout out to Tig, he's done it heaps. Breeze, shout out to Breeze, all the time. Yeah.
I fucking love Tig. Tig is one of my favorite human beings. I was so fucking happy when Tig like started to explore Abstract, because I really like, I remember early into the Abstract stuff, I've been a Bodago holder since Mint. Like I am a fucking diehard Bodago person. I love that Discord. I love those people. Like I literally, that's like one of my favorite fucking groups of people.
That's what helped me grow. Like that's kind of how we knew of each other as well.
Yes. And I really think like the power of those communities, like I was like pushing shit, and I was like, guys, like fucking try Abstract shit. Like try this, please. Like try something. Just like fucking please try it. And I would do that in all of my chats. Like even, I'm sure I pissed off some of my friends in some of our like shitcoin chats and stuff, being like, guys, please, like just try this stuff. I know it's like, it's not Solana and the fucking rapid fire meme coins, but like, please try it. But yeah, I was so fucking stoked when Tig came over, because to me, it was just like, that was the kind of person that we wanted. And I fucking, dude, his edits are so good. They're
clean. Yeah.
The one he did kind of recently, I mean,
which one?
Where is it? I retweeted it. I just realized he's a little pudgy now. That's so sick. It was. Where is the video?
So does Eli, he works for Eli, or I'm pretty sure Eli said that, or helps him out or something. Or
I didn't even know that.
I don't know. Or if he just enjoys Eli's content. One or the other, I can't remember.
It was It's Abstract season. We're not wrong, we're early. Where it's like the abstract, like it's highlighted, and then fucking it's just like spams all the tweets in. Like that it's just so fucking like that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, dude, like crazy fucking killer. And just like really hit that stride of just like that's the kind of stuff I love seeing, is someone like finding this thing to do, finding this new thing they want to push, and then just fucking hammering it and getting to be that like perfect, layer of like just like hitting their stride. Like that's what I love to see.
No, exactly right, dude. My chat is hilarious right now. It's so funny, some of these things. Eli said he does not work for me. Just to clarify that, my apologies. I thought,
well, he should now.
Slandering me. what won't he do to overtake me, bro? I'm coming for number 1 mindshare on the monthly, bro. You just watch. I'm only like 0.5% away now. Nah, big shout out to Eli. Eli, if you want, I can send you the link, Eli, if you want to jump on the stream. I don't care.
Oh no!
Just send me.
Get him on.
I talk to Eli too much.
So we all do, bro. Fucking hell, that guy. Does he sleep?
He probably doesn't sleep.
He doesn't.
Because now he's interacting with us on a different time zone, Greenie.
Dude, I'm like,
he's
like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Craig. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, he's in Miami or whatever. And I'm like, dude, that's like 3 a.m. in the morning. What are you doing?
Sending charts like a god knows.
He is, dude. He used to text me at the funniest times. I love Eli to death.
Hold on.
I love Eli to death. Me and Eli shared a very fond memory. I flew down to Tampa, or I flew down to Miami. And me and him drove to Tampa to go to one of the Ice Cube's like basketball series together, and then drove back to Miami together for me to fly out. And I fucking love him to death. Get him in here.
I've just sent him the link. He's going to steal my viewers though. I'm hunting for the triple figures. I'm on 77 chat. Come on, we can't let him steal the viewership.
Dude, he does steal the viewership.
All right, I'll send it to him in our group chat on Twitter. So no, I mean, dude, I could keep talking for a long time. I got nothing to do today. I don't mind. Okay, Craig, do you have a question?
Whoa, do I have another question? Man, I had a whole bunch written out, man. I might have to revisit.
That was so quick. That was so. Oh, nice camera.
We've got no one here. Hold on. Easy cap? What kind of fucking off-brand shit are we running?
Temu, right?
That's
the Temu Cam Link.
Yeah, well, that actually is what it is. Yes,
Temu Cam Link. Damn, dude.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna send you a Cam Link here in the modern era.
It works just as well, but yeah, I'm not gonna stream. Don't worry, you can overtake me. Whatever. This man.
The vanity metrics.
I'll let him have it.
God, don't put on my big head. Yeah,
I'll let him have it.
Yeah,
he's big on top.
Number 1. Actually, you're top at the moment. You got shout out Crypto T is second at the moment.
Yeah, she's stealing mindshare, market share right now. Actually,
no, you could have hit 100.
Right, I could. She's got 32. Yeah, I know.
Have to go right here, chat.
I know, chat. We need more people in here. We want the troop figs. 77. I think that's our record, Craig. 77-ish. I think that is record.
That is a great number.
Love it. And I mean, well, that was a question I had too. What is the goal to bring more viewership to Abstract? Do you think it kind of goes back to that topic we discussed earlier about, is it waiting for the streaming platform to evolve, get a bit better as a streamer, and then you go, okay, let's go heavy on getting viewership over here? Is it just, again, same the other conversation where it's like, okay, just let it organically grow over time as market share increases, as more viewers naturally go over there and use the product? Like what sort of thing?
I've actually literally talked to Eli about this, but it's like the second where it's like, it's like there's no reason to like jump the gun. Like, because me and Eli are talking about this, where like I was running him through the kind of this like other streaming platform integration that we were sort of thinking about. And he was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna fall behind," and I was like, "On the contrary, like I think you're gonna be dominant because you were here first. Like I don't think it works that way.
Yeah,
like we're just gonna bring a bunch of viewership and support and like tooling. So like to me, that's I think it matters that way. We're like, I don't want to bring a bunch of viewers. Like if I brought you, so right now we average between 15 and 25,000 viewers per day on Abstract streams total, which I know like people are like, oh, but you only have 100 viewers. Think about it on a 24-hour time period. That's 100 right now.
Yeah.
As that goes up and down, those are new viewers. Those new people. Like, it actually adds up way faster than you think.
Yeah.
But like all-time peak of Abstract, I think was 50,000 daily viewers. So I mean, we're about half our all-time peak, which like I think is still pretty good.
What was that? What was that?
I was gonna ask, like, what event or
that was like, so that was I think like a month and a half in. I think it was just when everyone was coming to try out the platform and everyone was really gunning and XP was kind of at its highest for streamers. Like that was
when was On-Chain Heroes? Was that during that time?
On-Chain Heroes wasn't streamed really. Like no one was really streaming On-Chain Heroes because you couldn't really stream much of season 1 because it was kind of just like you send your heroes out and train them.
Completely
like
idle.
There wasn't there wasn't the gacha, there wasn't like these other things. I want to say it was like late February probably is when we had like peak viewership. I remember it directly because we got the bill at the end of the month and it was a lot of fucking money. Not money I want to see exit monthly ever again. But yeah, I mean, like again, it's like if I brought you guys, 100,000 new daily viewers and they couldn't subscribe to you.
Yeah.
What fucking benefit does that have?
Yeah.
Right?
Wait, are you saying subscriptions are coming to Abstract?
Have you watched the stream? What do you mean? Yeah,
no. Eli's been not watching.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No. Relax.
Well, you've got like 2 hours and 45 minutes of conversation to catch up on. Lot was covered.
I watched a little bit. I watched a little bit, but I didn't hear that part. Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume a lot of those functionalities that are basic to other streaming platforms will slowly roll out eventually.
So basically, the thing I was sort of pointing out was that because the conversation came about what it would mean to white label an existing product, we stopped aggressively building our own tooling until we knew if we were going to go down that road, because it wasn't smart to waste the resources. And in general, like that's how we're looking at the product as a whole, is like there are things that we could build and there are things that we could acquire or integrate. And so we're in the boat right now of being very diligent about like, what do we actually build? So like the joke around dark mode is like, yes, we could build dark mode. That would take who knows how long
and money.
And it's like, well, shit, there's also a lot of other stuff we could do at the same time that would be a lot more cost effective and would actually like move the needle. Dark mode is still coming. We are still making it, but it's not primary focus, because at the same time, it's like, okay, well, our design team also needs to help our builders and residents, right? And those guys, right, new products on the platform may be a little more impactful than dark mode on the platform, right?
I disagree. I think dark mode is the most valuable thing a platform can have.
You know what's interesting is that dark mode is used by less than half of users on most websites.
Really? I don't use it on Twitter anymore. Like on X.
Are you on white? Are you on white on Twitter?
It'll I do the transition. So daytime it goes white, nighttime it goes dark. Yeah.
So yeah, less than half on average actually use dark mode on platform.
There you go.
And in UI. So it's actually, everyone seems to think it's this like hugely prevalent thing. Most people don't know how to turn their iPhone from light mode to dark mode. Like you have to think about that. Like, most people actually have no fucking clue that that's even a feature. I even go as far as I have the like full dark mode. So even like my apps, I don't even see that, but my apps are actually dark mode, which is like an additional layer of features. But most people can't even figure out in their settings how to like turn on dark mode.
It's an interesting point. Like I shifted from dark charts to light colored charts more recently. I don't know.
I only post content with light mode because it's like a flashbang for people because they use dark mode. Like a lot of people use dark mode, and so white just pops up on timeline way better than dark mode does.
That's smart. I like that. I like that insight.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, it's like it is. Yeah, I think there's something interesting about it. I don't know. It's being made. It's just not our primary focus.
Priority.
I know everyone wants it. Everyone wants it. But
Well,
again,
I think
does everyone want it, or does the vocal minority want it?
Probably.
But I think I think it's also because people aren't developers, and because everyone's used to dark mode being available on almost every consumer product, everyone just kind of assumes, oh, it's just simple, just throw on a dark mode. Like, why don't you guys have it now? Like, everyone just assumes it's such an easy thing to just throw on really fast.
Yes, but it's literally like every single thing on your platform has to be remade. It's not just like, oh, we just toggle a color code. Like, no, it's actually like you have to then retest every single modal, every single icon, every button, every font. Wow. All your text has to be like, it's a pretty like time
process. Yeah.
And also if you think about how many things in the portal are like animated and have color to them and have like do things, like all of those have to be redone in a dark mode theme. So like, you know, all the little things like trying to like think of a good example here, but like even just like little buttons for like a button that's black now has to be, is it white now? Right? Does it pop against the black? How do you figure out each individual little thing? So there's a whole process to that. Logos have to change, and especially for us, like I was saying, like when we're thinking about this like new UI UX schematic, then that has to be thought of as like, okay, it makes the most sense to redesign those in tandem. So instead of just like rebuilding what we have now when we know we're going to change it, it's like build the next version, iterate the next version, and make that kind of like a one-step switch. So yes, dark mode, unknown when.
Interesting. You're welcome, Greenie. You now hit 80 viewers once I get on. It's crazy how that works.
Right, we're at 77. We're at 77 before you jumped on, so it's all good, bro. Thanks for the stream.
Eli brought all of his audience.
My three. Hey, I did. Look, I did have my stream raid you guys. I wish we had a. I wish we had a. Well, no. I just wish we had. That's a feature for sure. I think would be cool. I know, Phin, you did it manually to me the other day. I said thank you for it. But yeah,
I did. Yeah, that was when I hit my viewer peak.
Yeah, it was like 120. It was like the drama for
yeah, I got 100. Right? I had 100.
Dude, I was so fucked. No, dude, I was so mad. What was that stream? It was a big one for me. It was
Kevin.
It was dude. It was Final Bossu, and I
didn't know you were doing it.
No,
I started my stream first.
Finn,
I started my stream first, and I didn't think to look and see. And then partway through my stream, I click over and I see like interview with Kevin from Final Bossu, and I was like, fuck, I gotta wrap this up. And I like wrapped up as fast as I could. And then by the time I clicked into Eli's stream, he was like, yeah, so I think we're wrapping up soon. And I was like, fuck.
Bro, I put out a tweet and then I look on Twitter because someone's I think it was Shachi. They're like, "Oh, Finn's vamping you." Yeah, and they link me to Twitter, and it's literally a screenshot of me tweeting, going live Final Boss, whatever, and then Phin says, "Oh, talking about the drama." It's like 2 minutes. And I was like, "Fuck me, dude."
Perfect bait to like that title. That's
title. I know. Oh, dude, I knew what I was doing. I was just like. It was like in the midst of me being, I was in a silly, goofy mood. I wanted to play into it a little more than we had been. So I was like, I'm gonna clickbait my title and everything. And
it was good. It was great.
I had a good time.
I was salty, but it was great. But yeah, I mean, I think features like that are cool, but they're definitely not like a priority. But like the raid stuff, the subscription stuff, for sure. Like eventually, I think. I mean, the raid thing doesn't really matter until you get a shit ton of viewers on a platform, anyways, right? Like it's just not.
Yes.
What
basically? Yeah.
With subscriptions, would it still be decentralized, or would you have to centralize it?
No, it'd be decentralized.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, 100%. Wait, when you say 100%, does that mean also like 100% goes to the creator?
So the way we've looked at it, the way we've had the conversation is that we only want to take what we would need to cover platform costs and nothing else. Like we wouldn't look at it as a profit like driving function. So like I would basically look at like, okay, of the total tips, if like I think when I was running the math at one point, it was like we could be comfortable taking, I think it was 5% of tips and like 10% of subscriptions. And that if we were in theory thinking about the rate of follower growth and those kind of things, that we theoretically could cover most platform costs with a 5 and 10% fee. And that's where we'd like to figure it out. We still haven't finalized like what we want it to look like, but we definitely are not going to be like 50-50 split like Twitch or creating these like egregious splits. I think the most aggressive model we talked about was like a $5 subscription where we would take $1. That was like the most aggressive function that we did. And the thought process there and the way I look at it was like, if we did that aggressive model, I would be looking at using those funds as part of a creator pool or incentive structure, or to pay for deal flow to get
similar to what you guys do with the abstract games, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like abstract games was like 70% of the revenue went straight into the prize pool. And then I think like we ended up taking only like about 10%, and we literally used that to end up covering cost of like a few of the things that we did. So, you know, that was like for the minting platform costs. And like, I mean, you know, we come out of it and I think we made $5,000, $6,000 out of like $250,000. Right. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we really didn't like take that much money. And I think especially right now in the phase that we're in is like, you know, we're here to minimize our extractive behavior and maximize our like back into the ecosystem.
I'm trying to max abstract. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, max abstraction.
Oh, dude, the plug on the show, dude. Come on, bro.
Dude, I love how he comes in here with this like the sign.
It's already there.
Plugging it, like yeah.
It stays on the bed.
When you go to bed every night, do you like take it off the bed? Like where does
No, I actually honestly I just
sleep
kind of like unplug it? Yeah, I actually do.
You like wrap around it, you like spoon it?
Nah, I mean I probably should. But no, just lay it. Just I put it sideways and I just lay it there.
I just lay it there gently.
Do you not just sleep with it every night?
Yeah. If I got you like a giant abstract girl body pillow, would that
a waifu pillow? Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would sleep with that.
Yeah. I should talk to Tanya about making. We should make some gacha ones. It's like the gacha character body pillows.
That'd be sick.
That'd be fun. I'm gonna text her about that.
I like how me and Phin have like similar like setups, and then you guys have like the plain up rooms.
Great.
Yeah, when are you guys gonna get these kind of?
I know,
dude. I wanted to ask actually. So I wanted to ask, first thing is your lens. What lens are you running right now? Because I really like. Yeah, you Phin. Yeah, like the lens.
So I'm running a Sony A7 III, so the big body DSLR, and then I have a Sigma 24-70 f2.8. So if I go like, I bring you in nice and personal.
Oh yeah.
Wait, we can get like a a much more like detailed personal look to it. But traditionally, yeah, I'm zoomed out on 24 wide in the office. I think on calls. So like this is like if you take a work call with me, I'll be zoomed in like this, a little bit more like condensed, but
professional.
Actually, the whole other world is Craig can't do any of this.
Yeah,
so we're just
Craig is all of that.
Yeah. It was actually I took a call with the founder of AlphaBot, and his setup is so fucking sick. That I was like, shit, I gotta like copy this, because prior to this, like the way I had my setup, I literally had a tripod. Like,
dude, that's what I got.
I had
horrendous.
So I had the desk forward, a tripod around the desk. Like I was fucking with the angles. At one point, I had my setup so my camera was low, looking up with the wide angle, which I actually thought was kind of cool. But yeah, these days I have it like super set up. So I've got like a specific camera mount for the desk, which is like a standing.
I need that
pod, so I can like raise and lower it. Neewer, Neewer. That one, it's like $50 on Amazon. I want to say It's literally just like desk camera stand. It's like the greatest thing ever. But yeah, I have a, it's a 24.
Is that the same one that Easy has too? Because I've seen you both kind of rep similar ones.
I think he has a very similar to me. Yeah, it's like, dude, it's honestly like the greatest thing because it takes up no space. It's just this like little straight stick that stands up on the desk, and it can hold. I mean, it's holding a,
Holy shit! There's so much on this platform. Yeah, wow.
It's holding like 4 pounds of camera gear.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it. My eventual goal, I have 2 other of these cameras because I've just collected cameras over the years, and I want to set up a top-down camera for when I do the Lego building streams.
Stuff. Yeah, cool.
And then I'll have like a little switcher so we can like go between the angles.
That's cool.
But that's always me being like, oh, I want to do this, and then I'll use it one time, and it's how I end up with 3 of these cameras in my closet that never see the light of day because I'm like, yeah, one day I'll set up this cool rig where I'll see everything, and then there's no reason for me to do it.
Yeah, I like that. And I need to. No, you're right. Like, I mean, green is so on point with the brand, so I kind of like. I need to get some LEDs on and stuff.
To be honest, sometimes I do switch up the colors in here. I will switch away from the green sometimes. I used to run blue and red in the background, and then I would run blue on the desktop, and then I had a matching keyboard. But I want to go back to.
You were doing green before you even got hired.
Yeah,
which is really funny.
I was. Yeah, this is the color scheme I want to do next, which is like the pink and blue. Which is kind of cool. Which is like the same on the keyboard that I have right now.
And then what light do you have? Because I have this little piece of shit, and it blinds me. / it reflects. I need to change that too.
So I have this guy. A little Elgato rig. So I can blind myself. Like you can blind yourself. I usually have it on like the lower setting, but yeah, it's nice. You can like change the color temperature.
Yeah, so mine's like that. Yeah, yellow or white. Yes. So
yeah, but it like sits. I believe it's an Elgato one. I want to say
it is. No, yours might be the newer. I think yours is the newer one. Like
no, I have the Elgato one.
I
have the newer. Ones? Yeah, it's an Elgato. What is it called? Is it like a?
Because I have the Elgato Mini.
No,
is that what you got? Yeah.
I have 2. I have the Elgato Mini there, and then I have the big fucking Elgato here.
I need the 2 lights at some point, but the problem I have is I have a vertical monitor. So like my other monitor is like all the way up here. So I didn't want to have this like whole second giant thing up there. So I usually just have the 1 light. But it's not perfect because then I get the shadows. That's like the one complaint I have is the shadows. I need the fill to like get rid of the shadows somehow. But I also like, I mean, my God, it's like most of what I do is just jump on these podcasts.
Eli, what rig are you running there? Looks like you're running a pretty industrial lighting rig there. You've got no shadows.
You can adjust it. That's pretty dope.
I have it tied to shout out Chicken Shawarma. He got me a Stream Deck, but so I bought these only because someone got me a Stream Deck for my birthday, and then I just got Elgato lights so I can manually adjust them. I have an Elgato Mini that when I only had my laptop, I was doing that. Then I bought my PC, and then I bought the big fucking Elgato one that's like $250. Mostly because my camera is like 13 years old. And the way you make something look good is with lighting. Like the camera quality is not as important as the lighting. And so if you have a really, really good lens and really good camera, you can get away with lower light. But so I invested a lot in light. Someone said, and he's got 4 staff members holding lights and mics.
Get a sound.
He's got a whole crew. Yeah, it is actually true though. It's like kind of funny. This is actually the next thing I need to fix. I don't like my arm. I got to get a different one. I want to get one of the low profile ones.
I got like that the stand like that from the desk.
Are you streaming from a laptop, Greg?
No, Mac Mini.
Okay.
Ooh, nice, smart. I actually like that.
The camera is
stream.
Is it good?
No, it is good. Yeah.
No, Mac Mini cranks, bro. It's the Pro, the M4 Pro. So, and then the standalone screen as well with it. So the Mac screen, which is fucking crazy good.
Crazy. That OLED screen is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Yeah, I have I wanted to get one of the new OLED screens for my main PC setup because they are just fucking unreal.
The quality's crazy. I looked at PC versions and just couldn't justify, like they just couldn't match it really.
No,
it's something crazy price wise. Although this screen is pretty expensive too. But
I was gonna say, yeah, the monitor that I'm looking at, I think it's like $1,100. It's like so fucking much money. I got this one on like this is like the step below the OLED that Asus makes.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at. One of them, yeah.
Yes. So I have the X. It's like the XG2 something. I mean, it was like a $700 monitor, and I think I got it on Black Friday for like $500 shipped.
That's good.
And even then, it's like, it's funny because it's just fucking. I just was looking at shitcoin charts with it. Like,
yeah, that's the irony of what I'm talking about most of the time.
Yeah, I have like a 4K. Yeah. I have like a 4K 27-inch vertical monitor, and it literally just holds Discord and a chart. Like, it
looks good on the desk though, right? And when people come around, you're like,
great on the desk.
I'm professional.
Yeah, it's literally looks great on the desk. That's like all it does though. Is just like holds these things. But yeah, I would at some point I'm gonna revamp my my setup a little bit. I need as you can see, I tried to reorganize my things and I have a surplus of things, so I need to like get another shelf in here, and then I'm gonna be able to like actually I might go for like a wider lens because I'm gonna hang up like more. I have a bunch of art on like the other side of the office that I like haven't put up yet, and I have a whole other shelf next to me too of like I don't know, maybe like 15 or 20 more like toys and stuff.
Crazy.
Like they literally just spawn everywhere. Like I've got just like top of the PC, we've got shit, and like got another like Formula One car over there. I literally like the Red Bull stuff is just like on my desk because I have nowhere to put it. Like Pokemon cards because there's nowhere to put them. Fucking got Groot. Like I just have shit everywhere, and I need to put it on shelves. So that's
mate, that's better than Eli's leftover cans that he leaves on his desk for the week, and then eventually gets to the look at him. Yeah, yeah.
I do mason jars because like I'll go downstairs. I have this really bad habit. This is like just today, where I get another mason jar every time I get a drink.
Yeah.
Even if it's the same drink, like I'm, if I'm like having a coffee, I will have my coffee and I'll go downstairs and I'll get another cup for the same coffee instead of just using my same coffee cup.
Yeah, I'm weird. I do that too. I need a clean cup per use.
That's fair. That's fair.
It like makes no sense.
And Eli, the other thing is if you keep these around, if you have to go to the toilet on stream, you just pee under the desk straight in it, man, and no one even knows.
Dude, it's reuse, reduce, recycle.
Yeah, but the problem is I'm drinking out of cans most of the time. You don't want to put it in a metal can. I don't think it'll work out.
The edges are sharp. You got to be careful.
Yeah, exactly. I will say I've had drives like long road trips where
Yeah, man.
I think we've all been there. We've all been there.
Do you know how crazy it is to do that while you're driving with one hand?
Bro, you start spilling.
I have a rule. I have a fucking rule. I will, no matter what I am doing, I will always, I don't care if I'm pulling over on the side of the highway. I fucking get out and I'll go take a piss in the side of the highway. I don't care.
No, you're more responsible. You're more responsible for sure.
Also, I think it's also just because if I fucking, missed in my cars, I'd be, I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad.
And then you can't stop the flow either, which is the other
That's the hard part. That's the hard part.
It's
when it's on, it's on.
Yeah. I remember there
quality
was like
streaming, man.
I was legit just thinking we've hit the 3-hour mark and it's just gone. And
for me, it's gone this way. That's what I'm talking about.
It's kind of
this is what you get if you stick around, right?
Hey, we just got an influx of 7 new watches, so maybe they like that sort of part.
Okay, we can keep these conversations going. No, but it's funny. There was a couple years ago, me and my girlfriend were driving down to Tennessee from Vermont, and we were like, "Oh, we'll do this in 2 days, like we usually do." Because it's like a 12-hour drive, 13 hours. So we'll split it up, and then like halfway in, we were like, "What if we just kept going?" And I had like a 6-pack of Red Bull in the car, and I just fucking was like polishing them off, and we got stuck in traffic on the highway, and I was like, it was a close moment. I almost did not make it. And I almost like got out of the car in traffic to like run over to the side of the road, but I was like too nervous because we're in like bumper to bumper traffic. Man. I was like, I'm not going to be that guy who like gets out of the car and is like just pissing on the side of the road while everyone watches me. Like, I can't be that. So I ended up going 16 hours. And it was like for 2 hours the last of it after drinking 6 Red Bulls and like a big Smart Water. I just had to fucking hold it and hope that we found a gas station.
I have a question. I don't know if you guys talked about this, Finn. How do you feel about Coinbase kind of riffing on Abstract a little bit?
I love it because the last time they tried to build something cool, they spent $750 million in an NFT marketplace.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think that like the concept is super novel, but it's kind of clear like the terminology they used.
Who tweeted?
Well, because Coinbase
Wallet.
They said it feels this Coinbase wallet said feels like an app store runs on Base, but like the app store and like that's kind of what Abstract has made like a lot of terminology based around, and we hadn't seen it really from anyone else. So I just thought it was interesting. You start seeing Abstract start having a lot of success with it.
Finn? Didn't you copy pasta it?
I copy pasted it. Yeah. So I actually didn't write the tweet. Coffee, one of our engineers, wrote the tweet. What was it? What did I say? What the fuck is this?
You said
tweet?
Get fucked.
I said feels like an
man.
I said feels like an app store, runs an Abstract chain, already part of your wallet. Like
it's already there.
Like I am happy for them to iterate and build. I think they probably feel threatened by us. I know for a fact we've stolen a good chunk of products from them.
Yeah.
And we're in the process of stealing more. Keep in mind, we do this with every chain. Like we've become more ruthless over the last couple of months. I think the last month or two. What?
Are you headhunting them, or are they coming to you?
So I would say it's a mix. There are products that we seek out, and there are products that come to us. We've had a couple of them that have come to us. We actually had one really big one come to us. We weren't able to quite come to an agreement of how it would work, so we ended up passing on it. But it was one of Base's flagships that we were talking to. But it was just ultimately the settlement was still going to happen on Base because they had some like their tech stack was just built that way that it couldn't fully migrate. And we were like, well, this doesn't really benefit us because Base is always like, if you succeed with us, which we think you will, Base is going to reap the benefits of that success. And that doesn't make sense. But yeah, we've talked to most big teams across the board. I think there's a couple that like, I think my dream, which I think I've tweeted about, like I'd love to get Fantasy Top on Abstract at some point.
I was just about to ask you about that because I saw the convo happen where Jesse tweeted basically alluding that Fantasy Top was coming to Base, and I'm like, fuck, dude, this seems like such a product for Abstract, man.
Yeah, I mean the short reality is like I actually don't care when these migrations happen because I know that every migration, or nearly everyone, there will be one exception coming up here soon, has been completely free. Like we don't pay for teams. We don't write grants. We don't do funding of any kind. I mean, we funded we funded one app really technically in its entirety. And it wasn't even really funding. It was just like helping with some of their initial prize pool seed, which was with Death Fund. We like helped with the initial because they needed like 25 grand in the pot for the game to work. And, they had worked with us on other stuff before. So we were like trusting enough to like, help them out in that way. But other than that, like we don't really do grants and stuff. So I kind of don't mind when teams take a grant somewhere else because I know inevitably they're still going to come to us.
That's what Michael said too.
Yeah. Like I'm okay. Like sure, Base, waste your money. Like they're going to come to us anyway. So like, might as well have them get some funding and make their product better. So when they come to us, they're even better. Because it doesn't make sense really for us to like we there's no reason for us to go toe to toe and like get into a pissing contest with Base when it comes to spending, because we'll get like Base can spend a month what we raised, and not even think about it. And most chains are like that, right? Like Solana can do the same thing. like a lot of these big chains, like they can spend what we raised in a month. Monad can do this, Mega Eth can do this, Barachain can do this. We like, end of the day, we raised $11 million.
I don't think people realize. Yeah, I don't think people realize that. Like, I don't think people realize how lean you guys are.
We're incredibly, incredibly lean. Like, I don't spend crazy money. Every stream that we've done from the main abstract account, any of these like event streams, have been with sponsors, and in a way that like we are, break even or a little bit in profit only. We don't do them otherwise because we can't really afford to do them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the crazy thing, and I think it's what makes other teams kind of go after us a little bit. And I remember actually an interesting situation with another blockchain where like, when we were in Dubai, I rented a car because we wanted to have a vehicle to drive all the team members around in and to like, go around in. And like, I'm a car guy, right? So, I looked at renting cars. I was like, I'll rent a G-Wagon, and I trade the markets on the side. And Eli knows this. I like my nice things. I treat myself to things, whatever. And
you got it.
I like nice cars, right? They're all paid for by my trading in the market previously. Like,
it's not like you're using business funds to, hey, let me get a green Lambo every time I go somewhere.
No, it's always my own money. Like that's the money I make in the market, I spend on myself. And it was really funny. So, the day I land, I like, I text the guy to get the car delivered. He's like, hey, just heads up, like the G-Wagon's not ready. He's like, I have another one that I'm going to give you for 24 hours until I get you the one that you rented. And they dropped off like a Brabus G-Wagon, which is like a souped up fucking G-Wagon. It's flashy. This thing was like red, covered in carbon fiber. It was loud. It was like not my style or thing. And I like showed up to like 2 events driving it because that's what I had. And I was like, I even texted the guy. I was like, this is too much. Like, I need to switch back. Like, as soon as you get this other one, like, please. Like, I just wanted like an SUV to drive people around in. Like, I really didn't want to be flashy. I didn't want to do this. And I found out afterwards that another blockchain had their team was really upset that I had they thought that I had like rented this flashy car because they're like, well, if we do this, we'll get fudded to oblivion because of like the spending of the like all this stuff. And it was just so funny to me that like they, other teams have been like threatened by us because we got away with it. Like I got away with it because it was like, it actually turned out that people were fucking stoked because I ended up taking a couple of our partners for like rides in the Brabus because it was just like, fuck it, I've got a Brabus. Like, let's go drive around and be obnoxious and drive the cool fun car. And they all had such a good time. They would like, that was all people were talking about. And yeah, this other team was just like upset that like we were able to get away with it. And like they couldn't. And again, it's just funny because it's like, these other teams are so threatened by like the most mundane things that our team does, where it's like, fucking some of these other teams were renting Ferraris and Lambos, right? Like, we're over here like, penny pinching everything. And I just happen to want to treat myself a little bit because like, that's what I wanted to do. And so it's like, we didn't raise a ton. We didn't go this route. So like, other teams who did and are kind of like beating the repercussions of like, when you do raise that much, you get judged a lot more for things. Like no one can sit there and be like, oh yeah, the apps, like when people were accusing us of like the tipping thing, it's like, if you think that we raised this money and we're blowing $30,000-$40,000 tipping creators to create buzz on Twitter, it's like, you have to be a bit silly to like think that that's like an actual strategy we would do, or that like I would use like company funds to like rent supercars in Dubai. It's like, that's the silliest thing ever. Cause like, we don't have that money. Everything we've done so far has been without that money. You have that money and you're not able to generate the same attention. Like you got to start to think about like, well, what's the real impact of that? And it always comes to fucking the Silicon Valley. There's an episode of Silicon Valley, one of the greatest television shows ever, where there's this guy and he raised a ton of money for his company and then like they burnt all their cash and had to like close the company. And the main character like goes to meet him at a bar, and he's like, did you ever think about like asking for less money? He's like, you have value to raise 50 million. Did you ever ask for less? And the guy just sits there for a second, and he's just like I could ask for less. He's like, what do you mean I could ask for less? I could ask for less money? He's like, and he like starts having this like panic attack. He's like meltdown in the bar because he didn't realize you could raise less money. And I think there's a ton of teams in crypto who probably feel that same way, where like they raise way too much, like absolutely way too much. I think most of these chains raised just an egregious amount of money for what they had, because in reality now, like if you raised $100 or $200 million at a $3, $4, $5 billion valuation, you have to hit that target. And if you don't hit that target and you run out of money, you're down raising. And down raising is a death signal. Down raising is like the worst thing that you can do as a company, because that's a down raise is at horrible terms. It is like a surefire sign that like you fucked up. It is so much more bullish when you go up in your raises over time. And so for us, it's like,
will you guys raise again? Like, will you have a second round?
Probably not. We've talked about it. We've like had the discussions about it. We theoretically will not have to. We would like to avoid it.
Yeah.
But we're also in the position that like I think if we were like wanting to go out and raise, like I think we would, we've had like been approached enough to know that like we could go out and raise if we wanted to. But like I kind of like the scrappy state that we stay in, and I like where we're at. And so I think if we did go out and raise, I think we would lose a little bit of the like, I don't know, a little bit of our edge, which is like we're going toe to toe with teams that raise 10, 15, 20 times what we did.
Yeah.
And we have more mind share, more users, more product, more everything than them. So like,
that's working. It's working.
Well,
yeah,
less money raised is better, right? If you can do everything yourselves.
Yeah. And like one of the other ways I look at it is like, and it's the thing that teams refuse to admit, but when you raise money, you are raising money at a significantly lower valuation than what is stated. So a $5 billion valuation is investors getting in at a $400 or $500 million valuation of token. They're not buying a $5 billion token. They're buying a $500 million token worth of tokens that will launch to 5 billion. And so what you've really created is 10x sell pressure. You've created $1 billion in sell pressure in your token in investor unlocks. And so when I see these teams put out these big numbers, the understanding is that like you have gone and basically created hundreds of millions of dollars of sell pressure in your token. And if you can't somehow create hundreds of millions of dollars in buy pressure on your token, which again is going to cost you money. It costs money to acquire that buy pressure. It's not free. You don't just get to like do things and there's like everyone wants to buy your token. If you have to offset $1 billion in buy pressure, you are spending the money you raised. Like that's the harsh reality. When in whatever market making deals you're doing and whatever exchange listing deals you're doing, these things are exorbitantly expensive. Like it's a lot of costs involved. And so, I think there's like that model too, where like the worst you can say is that Abstract raised $11 million. And that means that we maybe at the absolute worst case are going to have $100 million in sell pressure potentially on the token. But the reality is like for us to acquire that interest, right? Like Pengu has done 100 million volume a day, like that's the rate that we're looking at. That's kind of the way to think about it is like, we can do it without that money. And I think other teams cannot. And so, I think there's a lot of interesting ways you can talk about like how teams raise and what that's going to mean for the impact. And I just think like I have a very hard time looking at our competitors, right? The couple of chains that kind of have launched and will launch within the same time frame and thinking that they will find the same success, knowing that people are coming around to the realization that more money raised is more money out and is more extraction and is, it's an impact that I think, the average user doesn't realize until it's their airdrop and their tokens that they've acquired are getting horrendously murdered by VCs coming in to extract the money that they put in 2-3 years ago.
I'd hate to name names, but it's happened this cycle so prevalently. Like everyone,
I think it's I think it, like Barrachain has admitted it though. Like Barrachain has acknowledged that like that was a problem. Like they had a lot of sell pressure in their token and it was unsustainable. And like I feel bad for those guys. Like I think
let's add more to the conversation. Like I don't want to. I'm not here to FUD, but we're here to talk facts, right? So redacted.
Redacted, great example. I love anime, and again, these are teams that I love. These are teams that are filled with amazing people. It's not a fault of them. I think it's just a fault of not understanding. Like, I think at the time of the decision or the time of the thought process, it felt right, and then by the time you get to launch, and this is also one of the problems with following playbooks, right? Is that these are all examples of products and tokens that were following playbooks, right? Like you can look at most of them and say, okay, so Memecoin, I think to some degree was looking at, Ape and Pengu and other drops and thinking, how do you kind of replicate that?
Yeah.
When you look at Redacted, I think like in general, they were trying to replicate, a similar function. And with Barra, I think there was a little bit of blast involved. There was like this, how do you approach this DeFi angle? They were kind of looking at that level, and like when you copy those playbooks, like you are part of the downstream. You are the secondary or the tertiary or whatever you might be at that point. You are part of the euthanasia roller coaster. You are not the big spiral. You are down the road. You're one of these kind of like.
We spoke about that earlier, right? Like if you're not like kind of like Gucci, right? Like that was the topic. If you're not the first, then you don't want to be second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 10th, 20th. Like you don't want to be that. So
And what are you thinking, Eli?
I don't agree. Okay. No, I don't agree.
On the same path of what we're talking.
I still don't agree. I think it doesn't, like, I literally tweeted out earlier, and me and Spencer were talking about it earlier. Like, being first mover advantage is honestly sometimes like the worst thing.
Fair,
because you don't like especially if you want to be on the same path. If my niche is the same exact thing, my goal is the same thing, then I really get to learn from the things that didn't work for you in that specific path, right? So it's for me, I whether it's content creation, whether it's a coin, whether it's a bit like. First mover advantage doesn't mean shit in my opinion. Like, you get some momentum and great, but
there's one good example. So there's two versions of it. The one example that I think backs you up is Yuga. Yuga, I think, is a prime example of how first mover advantage doesn't necessarily mean guaranteed success. I think Yuga was first mover advantage on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I think we learned from Yuga quite aggressively. But then if you look at some other first mover advantages of product, I think there are some fields which just don't sustain the necessity for competitiveness. Like Pump Fun is a great example. No one, like, Pump Fun became the token launchpad in crypto. There was not a necessity for others. And so this continued attempt to like beat Pump Fun, like they had first mover advantage to such a fucking crazy degree that even other teams, even if you flip their market share of token launches, you will never flip their revenue. Like never. Right. Because their first mover advantage was so aggressive.
Yeah.
Then you look at things like Friendtech, right? Friendtech had first mover advantage. Now gone. But again, they made so much fucking money that who cared? But I think it's like, it's in the realm of like, if you're building for a sustainable product, which I don't think Friendtech was ever designed to be a sustainable product. I don't think it should have been.
Well, the arena is like a better version, even though I think like I haven't really touched it. But yeah, I
used to touch it. I touched the arena when it was a Ponzi, and then I'm pretty sure I have an airdrop from the arena, but I never go to it and check it.
In there. But the thing is, like, it also depends on the product, right? Like, I just don't think that product, like, okay, they were first mover, but I don't think that product itself is even a good enough concept to where it's like competitive. Like, what's the point for more people to follow in that?
Right, being first to a thing that doesn't need to exist is like, again, it comes back to the point I made earlier, which is like a lot of people create a problem and then fix it in crypto. Like they create and fix the problem, where it's like no one was ever like. I think Farcaster is a good example of this. Like Farcaster comes in there like, we need to fix the
something that no one really
decentralization
cares about,
or Zora. Like this is not a thing people were like, we need to fix creator. No one was complaining that creator monetization was broken in this way.
Not
like
really.
If anything, the complaint was the split of fees between the platform revenue generation and the creator was imbalanced in a really drastic way. And this is that kind of conversation stems from like the reason why Vine doesn't exist anymore. Like Vine refused to do the creator split and it killed the platform. And so then platforms had to up their CPM to retain users. And like, that's when Instagram and YouTube and Facebook were like, let's juice the fuck out of our monetization because creators will come here. And if we can just give them a bigger slice of the pie, they'll stick around more.
Yeah.
And if creators fall, but like, there's times when there's just these products like, yeah, you can be first mover, but if you're first mover to something that
no one
needs,
wants.
Yeah. It's like, and especially if you just do it by incentivizing this token airdrop, like you're just setting yourselves up for like I wonder let's see what Zora's token is at.
I don't want to know, dude. I made a music NFT every single day for 100 days on Zora, and they gave me like $1,000. I hate that platform. Fuck them.
Zora is at a whopping 30 mil market cap.
What did it launch at? Like $1 billion.
No, it launched at 88 million.
Great buy.
That's actually not a bad down. I mean, we've seen far worse go far. I mean, far better go.
I've actually seen far. I'm actually you can see not as bad as I thought. That's still not good. It is up 0.04%.
Yeah, I assume base. I assume base is probably keeping that chart alive. To be honest,
they have to some degree. But I think the wrap up of it is like the thing with Abstract is I think if other teams are attempting to do what we do, I think there will be comparisons made. I think there will have to be a really strong effort put in place to incentivize people to go from our model to another. I think if Coinbase puts their money behind it, it literally will either be like the make it moment for them with Base, where it really establishes them with a community, or it will be Coinbase NFTs all over again. I lean towards Coinbase NFTs.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Oh, look, he's got. I'd rather have a Cam Link than a backwards Elgato. I agree though. I agree though. Like the thing is, I think people live in they live in a vacuum and think, okay, well, this is too big to fail. Like this company is too big to fail. Well, Coinbase has fucked up so many times. Again, Coinbase NFT shit was terrible. I don't know anyone who actually. Now they do have like the benefit of having like a huge user base. They can integrate people into Coinbase Wallet natively, but I think that's it could work, but we've seen it before. Just because you have a shit ton of money to throw around doesn't mean you understand culture or what people want or what people need. So we'll see.
Like maybe I think realistically, Coinbase builds a product that will either get iterated and used in a couple of years when they finally figure it out, or again, it'll just be like they write it off the books. Like I just think Base lacks, and it has always lacked like a complex culture like other chains. Like Solana has always had this like really, you can love it or hate it. You can love it or hate it, but they have a culture that's big as strong as fuck.
Greeny, what the fuck, dude? But Phin, I'll also say, I think one of the biggest things too is that there's a benefit. No, don't do it too. Stop it. There's a benefit to also being lean, right? Like a smaller ship can turn faster. And I think like that's the one thing Abstract also has is that, okay, you guys are fucking, oh my God.
What's happening here?
They're just trying to troll me. But so like you guys are able to iterate faster. You guys can put in ideas faster, adapt faster. And so that's like, to me, now that I've kind of been in the space long enough to where I've seen small teams perform better than big teams and understanding why, that just kind of, the concept of someone else trying to take the lunch money that are bigger.
Look, like I don't get threatened by it. Genuinely,
yeah.
Like I don't see
earlier. Yeah,
like I don't see Base doing that and be like, oh fuck, like we're not. No. There's no like that shit got sent into our Slack and we had a brief conversation about it as a team and we were like, we agreed like it'll be interesting to see what they do. Like, that's the truth. I'm curious to see what they'll do. I don't see it as a threat. I don't feel threatened by Barachain. I don't feel threatened by Megeth. I don't feel threatened by Monad. I think whatever they iterate and build, if they build really cool shit, fuck yeah, it moves the industry forward. Yeah. If they copy us, like, will I say something? Maybe. But the reality is like, I don't think, if those teams are smart, I don't think they'd be trying to copy us. I think they try to be building something that's also unique and interesting that people want. And like,
that's the key. Yeah.
And like the harsh fucking reality is like, we didn't come in and build something revolutionary. Like, we came in and built an app store. Like, it was just that crypto is so fucking behind on having an app store for a chain that like we were able to step in and go, hey, fucking wake up, guys. This is a bare minimum product that needs to exist. And everyone was suddenly like, fuck. Okay.
I think it's also about how the concept, because even the concept, I don't know if it's like, if this is the first time we've seen in Web3, but it's how it's packaged, right? And I think Abstract has, you know, the benefit of having a very creative, successful like team behind it. And you guys have packaged it in a way that is fresh and easy to consume for people. And I think that's a pain point. A pain point in Web3 is UX, UI, and it just overall experience has been so friction, like full of friction. And I think that's where you guys have done really well. As soon as I use the platform, it feels like I'm on a normal Web 2 platform, a normal Web 2 like app store, portal, whatever you want to call it.
And like, again, I think that's the hardest part, is that other teams will come in and will probably try and overdo it, or they'll underdo it. And I think like the trick with Abstract was like, you know, and I even like will fully admit this all the time, and the whole team will fully admit this. Like, we launched way too early. Like, we were not ready. When we launched, that was not we were MVP at best. Yeah. And I think it's only until now that I sit here and I'm like I'm very proud of what the platform looks like. But I also still feel in some ways like I'm still in that boat where like we're just an MVP. Like, I feel like we're still MVP. Like, even streaming, I think, is still like beta. Yeah. Like, very beta. And we talked about this earlier, Eli, before you got here, where like Abstract to me is like, we won't sit as a competitor to these other things for another couple of years, genuinely. Like, I think
when you say competitor to things, you mean like stuff like Twitch? Because I don't think you guys will ever.
But like,
that's not the end goal, right?
No, but it's I look at it in the sense of like, if we're building a product that people would choose to spend their time on as an alternative to
right.
Okay, alternative to Twitch, alternative to TikTok, alternative to Amazon, like whatever it might be. Like, we have years of development that will need to go into that, in the same way that those had years of, like, Twitch had 10 or 15 years before it became.
But the benefit is that because they had first mover advantage, you guys get to see the shit that worked and didn't work for them.
Yes, 100%, right. And I think the best example of the true outcome and what in my eyes will be the outcome of Coinbase's attempt at an app store is going to be Mixer. Which Mixer was when Microsoft launched a streaming platform, and they put $1 billion into it, and it lasted 6 months. And then I think 6 months in was when they started to wind down operations, because you can't, like, there's things in crypto you just can't throw money at to fix. And I think there's things in entertainment you just can't throw money at to fix. You have to have the culture, you have to have community, you have to have product. And like, you know, I think a lot of teams learn that at a certain point. And I was even saying too, like, you know, the same with like Pump Fun, where like, I don't really think Pump Fun's a competitor in the streaming to us, because the actual intention and product they're building is such a different audience. They're very crypto native focused, because you have to find creators who are willing to have a token attached to their stream. Or the bigger thing I was saying, which is like Pump's biggest issue, is like, it's going to be very difficult to find companies that are comfortable sponsoring creators on Pump Fun that are not crypto native,
or that are not gambling.
And that's the truth. Like, we can bring in and have been talking to really big companies about coming and doing things, because they don't look at our platform. And even when we've had these conversations with them where they've asked about like the token stuff and all these things, it's been very clear that these things operate in their own sphere and their own part of this platform that is not front facing, that is not like attached to a requirement for the creator, that creators don't have to launch tokens, creators don't have to, involve themselves. And we have creators who are just doing, are just playing video games, right? And if we went to Logitech and we're like, hey, or HyperX or something, and we're like, hey, let's strike a deal and do some deals with creators to use your equipment and have it on stream and all that stuff, like there wouldn't be this big concern of like, oh, but like we don't want our product next to pump and dumps in crypto.
Right.
We don't want our product next to shit coins. And like that's a true thing, is like there's companies that just don't want that. And we've even had conversations with teams who have not even been comfortable with the level of, meme coins on Abstract. Which is like a funny thing. And
hell, Eli. No, he's just talking shit in my chat. Anyways, no, Phin, I agree. I mean, you're right though. Like pretty much like the summary of this whole stream is you are doing it in a unique public way. And that's fucking ballsy, and that's fucking bullish.
And we're either going to be incredibly fucking right, and everyone will be right with us, or we're going to be incredibly fucking wrong.
That's it.
But
for my livelihood, I pray you guys do it right.
also mine, because I don't want to have to fucking find another job, dude.
all four of us here probably benefit from the better option.
Yeah, shit, I don't want Eli to have to get a different coloured light or something like that.
Yeah, fair point, Craig, fair point.
No, imagine if the next chain's blue, for God's sake, or something. That changes, please, don't let us down, Phin.
I promise not to.
my son's life's in your hands, man.
Mine too. Dude, my kids.
Nikes.
Alpha? Finn's Alpha. Having a kid.
Yay!
I wish.
Tell me to the chat.
Live on stream. Clip it.
No, I'm not kids for all, but.
Well,
no,
I mean, we've been going for
kids yet, Phin, actually.
We're going for a while.
Kids for 2-3 years, please. You need
more
to pump
than
up bags.
More than that. Yeah. When we hit full market dominance, I'll have a kid.
Perfect.
I like it.
Abby.
All right. I mean, we've gone for 3 hours and 45 minutes. So by far the biggest and best and longest stream we've had. So much alpha.
Yep.
I always like to end on a note, Phin, with the interviewee asking us any particular questions, because it's always a bang, 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 mate. Like, what are you giving us? It's like, no. Like, step it back. What questions do you have maybe for us from a different sort of?
Yeah, I got an easy one. I think you've answered it before, but I'll still ask it again for Eli and for Craig also. But if there was one product that would be like your dream to have on Abstract, what would it be?
I think it's like personal. It's personal based, right? Like, I'm gonna say I think it's a tie between streaming being that subs, that sort of thing. I think that's great for content, and I think the three of us here are going down that route, and we love that route. So I'm gonna say that's probably the first. Second, which I think you already are aware of for me personally, would be leverage, because I think that will help your chain with volume, with 100%. More users, and then it allows me to trade right on the chain directly as well. So those are my two answers.
Yeah, Greeny took mine again as per usual. This is why I go second. I'm going to throw the curveball answers out there. I'm going to get a bit more exotic. Do you know what? I can't beat his number one, which was more features for streamers. For me, and that's just a personal thing. That's not me wanting to grow the platform per se. That's me being greedy, but I think it will grow the platform anyway. Mm-hmm. So things like subs and that would be phenomenal. Other than that, and this is so obvious, just a bigger library of things to do, but not necessarily. But that's just going to take time. So to be honest, I think you're well on track. Number one for me would be more streaming options. But other than that, I don't think I've got a product that I can say that you're going to go, oh my fucking God. Like, nah. I think you're on the right track. And personally, I'm pretty happy with the cadence of what you're shipping. I think I did get asked, actually, someone in the chat, I've lost it. Don't even worry, Phin. It wasn't even a good question. No, jokes.
But these are for features natively an abstract? We're not talking about like third-party stuff in the portal.
It can be third-party stuff in the portal.
Okay.
What about
like
you?
a leverage trading product would be third-party. We wouldn't build that ourselves.
Yeah. For me, honestly, let me have wallets attached to my profile that are undoxed. That'd be great.
Right, you're too emotional with this. We talk about this. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. Don't worry.
No,
we have a plan. We have a plan for it. We have a plan.
I'm not saying like not
so
to have like.
No. We've been theorizing, and we have a product coming in that would allow for you to make transfers into an undoxed wallet that would be untraceable.
Because I do know obviously like third-party wallets are having the optionality. I think we only have one right now. Obviously, we have another one that's going to come soon, where you can connect it to your AGW and like you'll get XP, right? But like that's not what I want, you know. So
no, so we've been working with the team behind Railgun. And Railgun has an ability to create obfuscated transactions that would allow for you to have basically like a savings account that is a private undoxed wallet.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, because it's you know when I bring that up, obviously because I had the whole Gooner Dark Pengu thing where I just feel like I couldn't even sell $1 without everyone like pressing me. But it also
we talked about this too. Like me and you had this conversation because it is like it is a real thing. Like for instance, like you know. For the same reason, like I can't sell tokens, and I wouldn't. Like, it's not something I want to do. Like, I don't want to sell tokens because people will question those things. And,
right. No matter what your intention is, it can still get like twisted and manipulated. And also,
why is Phin selling these tokens? Like,
right, and it sucks because it's like I've only grown as like I've only been a content creator for like a little bit over 2 months, but like I'm still trading the way I was before. So it just kind of sucks that now that I have people. I get like there's a responsibility of being like more of a public figure that you have to be like more responsible and ethical, I guess, but which is a gray area. But I think
Eli wants to fucking pump and dump tokens, guys. Please stop looking at his wallet.
Yeah, exactly. but honestly, one of the bigger things is once my AGW got that big, I don't know if it's connected, but I suddenly had like 13 calls and emails that my Twitter was trying to get its number, like everything was someone was trying to log into all my accounts. And then on top of that, you know, we've had a bunch of the news of like, you know, people getting kidnapped and robbed. Like
my tweet earlier today was not a joke, by the way. I genuinely got a DM. I got a DM from somebody who sent me like not hard to find personal information, like information that if you did a little bit of digging is public, but they sent me like a chunk of information. And they were like, you know, about myself. Wow. Some of it was wrong. So that was why I wasn't like super concerned by it. But like it is, you know, I won't show what's on my desk, but there's things that stay by me at all times as an American. But it is like, it is a, you know, a little bit of the scary part of when you get that big. It's like people do have this thing where they sort of, they want to like blame you for things and they want to do things. And yeah, like someone sent me they sent my girlfriend's name, which again, like if you know, I've said her name before, talked about her.
Yeah.
If you know, hunted down social media, right, you'd find it inevitably. They tried to send me the state that I used to live in, but it was wrong. Totally wrong state. So I was like, whatever, you didn't do a good enough job here.
Yeah. You're like, not bad, but yeah.
Yeah. They were like, oh, you got to send me the money for the coin that I lost money on. And I'm like, I fucking replied with a Gamblers Anonymous link, and I was like, I hope find some out, buddy. But you know, that's like it is the slightly like scary part of these things, and people do get really hyper fixated. And you know, in the best interest for us, it's like we want to create systems where users are protected, and again, but we're still you know, honoring the blockchain ethos. But again, there are levels to it where like you know, it at some point, you know, and I had this conversation with Min before Min came into Abstract. I was like, look, man, you know, I think it's in your best interest if you have a public wallet and then you have a wallet that you trade on. I was like, I don't think you should trade on your main wallet. 100%. And then he tweeted out the name of his account with the balance in it. And I was like,
yeah.
And then he was like, fuck, I shouldn't have done this. And I was like, yeah, man, this is kind of the one thing is like you've basically put it out there, like this is the money in your account, like it's attached to your name, it's your public profile. And the flip side too is like on Solana, dude, like there's the leaderboard of like top KOLs, their wallets and their P&L. It's like people are tracking this stuff to such a degree.
Yeah. I thought of a feature. Actually, I didn't think of it. I saw in chat, but it is something that I actually desperately need as well. When can we get background play? Because I think it's like that is the one thing I use on YouTube nonstop.
Background play.
Yeah,
you
so
can.
like
pop-ups.
Yeah, we have window and window
on my phone.
PIP, it's right there.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay. So I can slide it and like
Ready?
do other apps and shit like that.
I'm gonna show you. Yeah. You can do it on your phone. Yeah. Watch. Ready? So pull up the stream. We're full screened. See that? Oh, wait. Where is it?
Someone said PIP doesn't work good. I haven't even tried it.
Yeah, I didn't even know it existed on there.
No.
Oh wait, did it stop working? It was just working.
You can do it on the computer for sure.
Well, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. Yeah. Picture in picture. Right there.
But can you leave? Can I go to like Google Chrome or?
Oh,
not Google Chrome,
wait. Why did that break? It used to work. Oh.
Eli.
You have found something.
Developer Eli.
Pay me for the bounty, Black Hat.
Yeah, it did. Okay, no, it doesn't work anymore. That is a good call.
Because I remember I was trying to like do laundry.
It
and
worked.
Have it play
It worked for a bit. I am going to ping about that. That's a good call. Why did it stop working? Maybe it's because we're not a native app.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only thought.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know any Google instances where I do it on Google Chrome and it works. Maybe it does for like some pop out shit. Actually, I don't know. No, not W in the chat. Who said it? No, someone in chat said it. Someone said, Eli, you had your vape cabal moment. No, I'm not reading that. It was, I forgot. Someone in the chat said it.
Interesting.
Yeah, Dozer. D-O, Dozer.
Yeah.
I used to be able to do this. I'm okay. You have caught me in a product I thought we had.
All right. Well, cool. Are you guys gonna wrap it up soon? Because I
What do you think?
I definitely gotta jump and get some sleep.
It's 11 p.m. You fucking Aussies.
Yeah, you maniacs.
You Aussies, bro. Yeah, good, bro. So chat, I'm away this week. I'm going down to Melbourne for a Pudgy Penguin event, which obviously hopefully will connect with a few Pudgy / abstract people. I'm
trying to make Jared go.
Yeah, tell him to go. I'll be there, and a few people will be there, so it'll be good. So I'll miss the stream Thursday, Friday. We have PO tomorrow on the stream, so it won't be abstract focus. It'll be Bitcoin focused. So get ready for that chat. That'll be a very different stream. But a massive shout out to Phin for scheduling us in during this time. Like I know he's a busy man. Lots of time with meetings. You heard it today. Meetings, people, streams, blah blah, everything, right? So thanks, Phin, so much. We both so much appreciate it, and so is Eli. Eli, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Eli, as well for jumping on the show.
Thanks for
the 45 minutes.
It was short notice, but thank you, man.
Thanks for bringing the 7 extra viewers. Appreciate it.
What I'm known for. It's what I do. No, thank you guys. It was fun.
You say it like you mean it, man. Hey, it was great having you on, man.
Hey,
this is my favorite. I told you guys, my favorite time of the week is when we do our 2-man stream. Thankfully, it's going to be a 2-man stream. Oh my God, it's going to be awesome without Greedy. But yeah,
we can finally talk, Eli. With the room we can breathe.
Nah, thank you again, and yeah, Phin, love you, dude. I'm so happy that you ended up making the decision to go to abstract. I think you were able to.
100%.
I think abstract is where it is because you also had your part to play in it. So I'm grateful that you're there.
I'll take my flowers only because you gave them to me.
Yeah.
I love that.
I won't take my flowers.
Shout out to Easy for finally joining. Let's get him on a stream.
I've been waiting to get that dirty dog, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, you can have my sloppy seconds this time.
Oh, it's good.
We don't want Clemente though. We don't want Clemente. We'll just have it easy. That's
no Clemente. But okay, I have to jump.
Yeah.
Easy. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. Close out the stream without me.
Easy, mate. See you later. All right. I was going to play the Eli outro as well. Should I do that, chat? Is that?
Yeah, let me see it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Here we go.
Just actually, it'll have the PFPs on it too. It should. I think it should have the PFPs. I have the intro as well, mate. I worked hard for that last week.
Thank you so much.
Nah, OG, bro. Enjoy the stream later in the week, lads. I think I'm flying at the time that you guys will be live, so I don't think I'll be able to watch.
You don't want to pay for Wi-Fi on the plane?
I don't. Some Australian flights don't even offer. I don't know what the hell. Australian, it's weird. It's like it's so expensive too. It's like
you guys barely have internet on the ground, so I'm not surprised.
I mean, that's a pretty fair statement.
Yeah,
it's like $15 for like, I don't even know, 50 meg. It's horrendous. I looked into it and I was like, nah, it's not worth it. No. I can wait 2 hours to hop off my phone. So listen to
probably enjoy the time off the crypto stuff, maybe. I'd use it just to fucking detox.
Yeah, absolutely. Chat, thanks for the record. We had 82 maybe at a peak or 80 at a peak. So massive shout out for that. That's huge. 1,100 on the streams across all of it. So huge again. Thanks, guys. And I appreciate all the love with the tips and the comments and the likes and the follows. So we'll be back tomorrow with PO, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. And then Eli and Craig will be back later in the week. Maybe you could jump on the Wednesday one too if you wanted to. Like you could do both. If Craig wants to do a stream that
day. Yeah. I probably will. But probably more so if Eli jumps on, it's probably easier to run it.
Yeah, we'll fair. Yeah, fair. All right, easy guys. Thanks, chat. Thanks, Eli. Thanks, Craig. Have a lovely evening or day.
Ciao.